Hello, everybody. I hope you're all enjoying the soothing sounds of waves, because that's totally not sinister at all. I see a Loudraz. I see an Ionut. Hello, Ionut. I see a Basswood and a Leth. Hello. Certainly, there's nothing sinister about the sounds of waves. That'd be crazy, right? Here's the Zarptic and the silence. Yeah, the waves are kind of quiet. Unfortunately. And I can't really increase the volume on it without blowing my eardrums out. So, I'm sorry. But, hello. Greetings. And salutations. And if you're going to stick around after that introduction, then hello, welcome in. Hi, how's it going? How you doing? I guess we're immediately getting scrunkly. Yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying, Left. Like, it's really quiet, and there's unfortunately nothing I can do short of turning it up high enough that it'll blow my eardrums out. Because I can hear it perfectly fine. But OBS, not so much. And if I turn it up loud enough for OBS to pick it up, then once we actually get into the game's gonna be loud. I don't feel like dealing with that. Constant overstimulation. Well, apologies, I cannot help with that. I am not the stimulation machine. But what I am is about to provide you with a podcast in the meantime. Because I have started listening. Hello, Brandy. Because what I have started listening to today at work is the Magnus Archives. And I can't think of a better podcast to play while. A better podcast to listen to while playing Dredge, of all things. So. We just started, Raz. What the fuck? I am not that thirsty. I am hydrated. It's fine. Ooh, here we go. Enjoy your lurkies, Ionut. That is something I may have to put on the back burner. Because, man, I have so much. Yeah. Go for Smeum. Look, man. I'm pretty sure this water is safer than the shit on the coast. Like, not even gonna lie. This water is safer than whatever the fuck's in our beaches. Like, but having said that, we are going to start the Magnus Archives episode that I'm on. I'm on number 17. So, I've been listening to it a bit today. We're going to turn that on. And we're going to continue.
Rusty Quill presents the Magnus Archive.
We are also going to turn our music volume off. Resume.
Episode 17. The Bone Turner's Tale.
Number 17. Burger King foot lettuce. Nah. Alright. Alright. Oh, right. We were needing to sleep for the night.
Statement of Sebastian Adakoya.
Then we've got
Regarding a new
to...
acquisition at Chiswick Library. Original statement given June 10th, 1999.
Okay.
Audio recording by
What was it that we were needing to do? We were...
London. Statement begins.
Liver running,
Books are
congregation,
amazing. I mean, when you think about what they really
rare
are.
fish, collected all samples.
Actuality of language the weight it deserves, I feel. Words
Okay.
are that way of taking your thoughts, the very makeup of yourself.
Gotta lock in a little elsewhere, but I'll be lurking on
Putting
and
your
off.
thoughts
Alrighty.
in the mind of someone else. They are not a perfect method, of course, as there's plenty
Figure
of
in blue.
mutation and
Man,
corruption between your mind and that of the listener, but that doesn't change the essence of what language
it's
is.
timed
Spoken aloud, though, the thought dies.
to give the guy a fish?
Simple vibrations that vanish almost as soon as they are created. Though if they find a host, then they can lodge there, proliferate and maybe spread further.
I mean, he can starve, it's
Still,
fine.
It's not a reliable method in terms of a thought's endurance, as humans are fragile creatures and rarely last a century. A book, though, is another story. There are written texts that have outlived the civilizations that created them. Imagine
That is
books
not the
hundreds,
tiger.
thousands of years old, preserved,
It's over here
ready to be
somewhere.
taken again. Corrupted or
Is it this one?
translated perhaps by a culture that does not understand them, but still.
I don't think it is. Let me see. I don't think I've had one of these, though. I have not. It's so tiny. They're so tiny.
Covering every wall seems to have such a weight
Oops.
beyond the physical presence of the texts it holds. I used to work at Chiswick Library. I didn't have such ideas back then, though. I just knew I loved books, always had.
Alias,
So when the opportunity
hello.
arose to work in my local library, I jumped at the chance. I had been a voracious
Oh,
reader
whoa.
since I was old enough to hold a book for myself, and even before that, my mother tells me constantly
no.
to read to me. I suppose you might say my mind has always been receptive to the thoughts that lurk.
Oh, that's the wind. I was like, hold on, what the fuck?
Still,
I don't remember it making that noise. Yeah, it's because it didn't. It's the wind.
It's light and airy, with bookshelves and carpets that speak more of cash-strapped local
The bot
councils
strikes
than
again.
the
Yeah,
rich majesty of knowledge.
the bot strikes while my mod is away, as per usual.
Paperbacks of true crime, literary fiction, and reference books. It has a modest collection of books on tape, and the
Tiger fan.
atmosphere
I
of it
found one before, but I don't remember where it was. Actually, I can check my encyclopedia.
It was 3 years ago.
Selected
I
as
had already
active
been
book.
working there for about a year when the book first turned up. Now, we used to buy all of our books new, and I never did any of the acquisitions for the
What you
library.
looking for?
So
I
can't
am
say
looking
when or
for
where it might have been bought from.
a
But it looked old and it was beaten up when I first noticed
tiger
it. It was handed
fin
back with
something?
other books at the front desk. And as I was scanning them through, I noticed that
This
the
one, tiger
barcodes
mackerel. It
didn't seem to
is
match up.
here. Coastal
The barcode
water.
and ISBN both registered with the
Daytime,
spotting
which
their
we
early
are
life.
daytime, so that's
The book
okay.
itself was an almost featureless black paperback, with a title on the front in faded white serif font. The Bone
Coastal.
Turner's Tale.
Is it
I
this
was a bit
one?
confused and called the librarian, Ruth Weaver, over to ask about it.
Yeah.
She didn't recall seeing it ever before, but stuck in the front was the ex-libris bookplate of Chiswick
There.
Library. as
I
well as
have
a
one.
label with a handful of stamps going back several years.
Who?
shrugged and
What is
told me not to
this?
worry too much
Hello?
about it,
Hi?
but get it
Hello?
forwarded and put on the system properly. Something about the situation bothered me, so I decided to check the record of the man who had returned it. His name, at least according to his library card, was Michael Crew, and sure enough, 3 weeks ago he had borrowed 4 books from us, specifically the 4 others.
Oh, a flag.
I suggested to Ruth that perhaps he was a self-published
Yep,
author
no going
who was trying to
insane,
trick his
not
way
quite
onto our
yet. Nope.
shelves, and she laughed, saying it was probably it.
Alright, man
From
is
mistaken, just to get on the shelves of
over
Chiswick Library was beyond me.
here.
The book looked worn though, like it had seen decades of being read, with a line creased down the spine on one half of the cover.
Oh, I think he's over there, actually.
Nor, from what I could see,
Oh.
did it list any author at all.
I do not trust this darkness that is descending upon me, and I am just glad that there is a little dot right here that I'm gonna go to, because nothing bad ever happens at night. But, man, that's aberration!
I think he saw it as something of a betrayal. And when I
I
finally
s-
returned, I knew immediately something had changed.
Aberration, 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 aberration,
Spent the time
aberration.
I was away becoming a bit of a crook.
Eh.
Upon my return, began what would eventually become a campaign of petty terror.
C
He was always very
is for
careful to stop before he did anything quite
No, this is a crayon.
Oh, got the aberration. I don't care anymore. Going this way.
spent together, but I never really thought about
Oop, don't run into the rocks.
Uh,
I've been spotted!
hello, Elias. Not really. I'm sort of in the middle of something.
Been spotted by something I did not see, and that's what scares me. Hello, Thunder.
I could just as easily complain about her wasting my time. That's not how it works. I wouldn't have even needed to do the recording if Rosie had kept her equipment in better condition.
Regardless, I would prefer that you not recognize anyone connected
Alright.
to that. They are patient to be responsible.
Fine.
Bonk.
I'll be more lovely.
Alright.
Now, can I get back to work?
Very well. By the way, what's your last name?
Oh, he's
This
off
island.
sick this week. Stomach problems, I think.
Eventually, I will have to face my fear of being out here in the middle of the night. This is not that time, but eventually,
Is that
I
inevitably
will.
meant that he was bored enough to seek me out for harassment?
Wait, was this one?
Sure
No,
enough, he
that's a
started
different
chatting
thing.
with me meaningless jibes that served to waste out to the roof.
Hello, hooded
Didn't know
figure.
about Jared's problems.
More, still
Returned to
empty.
her office and closed
They
the
point to
door.
another
As
shape
soon
on a
as she'd
second
done so,
scroll.
he turned
This
with
one
a
looks like a
single
tiger
movement,
mackerel.
tipped
Well,
over the
buddy,
back of the
here
turn
you
spine,
go.
spinning the recently received books all over
Again,
the
they
floor.
rip into the flesh of the fish, drawing out its heart.
Smiled
It's
at me.
consumed as quickly as the first, almost
I did my best not to
fulfilled.
show any irritation
They
at
point to a
the
fish on the
reaction
final
of the
scroll.
group, but
This
I
one
slowly
is a snake
moved around
mackerel.
the
I
back.
don't know what the fuck that is.
As I rose to my feet, I felt an impact on the back of my head and staggered. Behind me, Jared stood holding the book put aside.
Encyclopedia.
And had apparently picked it up and hit me with.
Was that a
But
snake
rather than
mackerel?
offering me a fake apology,
No,
his
that's not what that
silence,
thing looked like at all.
his eyes were locked on the book. We stood there in
No.
silence for a few seconds until he said something about needing something new to read, turned around and walked off. I was
That's a barracuda.
unsettled. As far as I could recall, I had never seen Jared read, well, anything really.
None of these look like the
The look
fish.
in his eyes when he had left had something in it not entirely unlike fear. Still, it was a welcome relief to have him gone, and I quickly tidied up
Is
the
it
rest
this
of the
one?
books before Ruth noticed
I
anything
think it's
amiss.
this one,
There was nothing else I recall.
which is in the devil's spine, which doesn't sound like a particularly welcoming place to
I
be.
moved back in with my parents while I got everything sorted out at university. He had never moved out
Oh,
of his childhood
boy.
home, so we still lived on the same streets. It was late September at this point, so by the time I had walked back from the library,
I don't wanna.
I noticed a small shape moving in the pool of orange light below the street lamp. As I got closer, I realized with a slight start that it was a rat, and not a dirty wild rat, but a large white
G
one.
is for
Quite well kept, clearly white.
This was quickly changed in later versions of the game. See, that's what I thought! See, Brandy, it's not timed.
Stopped slowly, pulling from the front leg.
Hello, Mont.
I saw that the back half of it was flat, as though deflated somehow. I thought it must have been run over, but there was no blood or sign of crushing, nor did it seem to be in any actual pain. It just had a back half that flopped and
Okay, let me see.
twitched obscenely as it made its gradual way across the lighted pavement and out into the darkness. I just stood there and watched, transfixed by it, until it disappeared from
Turn this
view.
up a little bit.
Thinking about it now, I remember its head was turned at a strange angle,
Jesus, for good fucking
far further
morning.
round than it should have been,
I
although
guess.
I might be getting confused. Many of these experiences run together. when
I
I'm
mean,
back.
it's
There was
it's
no
5:20 in the
light
evening,
outside,
but
I hurried home quickly.
yeah. Good fucking morning to you too, I guess.
I didn't see Jared again for some time. At first I was just happy for the space. And as the days turned into weeks, I started to feel something I wouldn't have expected to. Worry. If it hadn't been for the way he had left last time, it probably wouldn't have bothered me, but he had looked so strange. And
Okay.
even without him coming to the library, it was rare I would go a week without seeing him.
I can't remember what I was doing
By now it had been almost a month.
here. I know
Still,
I was doing
resisted the
something.
urge to go to his house in
I know I had just gotten the
It turned out
bombs,
he
and
was
that's fine.
I'd be inviting a whole
And that
world
is
of
something I'm
unpleasantness.
incredibly grateful
Besides
for
that,
because
I reminded
fuck that
myself,
fish.
he wasn't
But
the
like,
problem.
I don't remember what I was
It
doing
was late
afterwards.
October when Jared's mother came in. It was near the end of the day, and outside was already dark. I was putting up a display
Swordfish.
about good Halloween reads before heading home, and I heard the door open. I turned around and there she was. It took me a few seconds to recognize her, if I'm honest. I hadn't
Give
seen
the
much
item
of
to
her
the
in the years since Jared
mysterious
and I had
man.
been
What
close.
item? I don't
She
have
had
an
aged
item.
noticeably. Mrs. Hopworth wore a bulky overcoat, though it wasn't that cold yet, and her arm hung down. in
I
a
have
sling.
bombs. That's what I have.
Something about the angle of the arm and how it hung there seemed faintly abnormal, and I wondered if she had broken it. When I asked Mrs. Hopworth if she was okay, she
That's what I have. I have bombs.
her eyes
See,
burning
this
with
is it. This is all I got. I have no weird items. I also stole his weird heart engine and the thing that seems to curse
threw
me.
it on the floor without saying a word and turned to leave. I couldn't help myself. I asked her if Jared was all right. She spun back and started to swear.
Hello, Deep One. I have to have a mouthful of burger.
Confrontation I had now apparently caused.
Over by the lighthouse? I know who you're talking about,
Mrs.
but
Hopworth
like,
spat towards me,
I don't have an item.
though I noticed she was careful to avoid spitting at the book that now lay on
Hello,
the floor
Adele.
between us, and left. I put down the copy of Stephen King's Misery that I now realized I'd been clutching, and approached the
Endless.
discarded volume that lay on the carpet. The battered black cover seemed the same as when I had first seen it weeks ago, with that faded white title on the front. The Bone
Sexy
Turner's Tale.
bat?
I reached down to pick it up. Before I did so, a thought flashed across my
Waterfall and
mind.
Gale
A memory,
Cliffs.
the last time I had seen Jared, and I grabbed some tissues from the desk before using them to pick up the book. Even then, I felt my skin crawl as I held it. I decided not to deal with it that night. I wasn't entirely sure that reading it.
I got
at
the
night
Family Crest, if
that
that's what you're
better, but
talking about.
the shadows cast from outside seemed to have gotten that much starker since the book had
And
been
I turned
brought
that
back to
in,
my library,
and I
escaped.
got the bombs. Did I mention
I
I've got
placed the book
bombs?
returns card
I've got
and left,
bombs.
double checking I had firmly locked the door behind me. It rained heavily that night. My room is in a converted attic, and when the weather is bad, it's as if I can hear every raindrop against the window.
Demon, I
just
mean,
above my bed.
there is no bat
It
here.
wasn't a storm. There wasn't a wind for it. It was just that heavy, pounding rain that drummed and beat on the glass above me.
Alright.
I couldn't sleep. There was a nagging apprehension in my mind. Something that, after 3
Hello,
hours lying
Fizz.
in bed, had turned into almost a panic. How could I have
Alright.
just left the book?
Let's do the
There
whole
was something wrong with
baiting
it. I
thing. We're
must
gonna go
have
this. Oh,
The
well,
brute
that's
came
the
early
whole
the night
damage.
before I took it. What would happen to her? Should I have destroyed it?
I'm gonna go
That
this
last thought
way.
was quickly pushed away. I wasn't sure I had it in me to
Oh
destroy
lord,
it,
we zooming.
even one with such a strangeness to it. It surprised
Hello,
me just how easily
Zethrius.
I accepted
Everybody
that
is
the bone
appearing
turner's
all
tale
of a
had
sudden.
dark
What do you
past.
mean you're
I
at
suppose
soup?
always
I
felt
mean
that
I'm
the
at
books had a
soup.
sort of
I'm not at
backstory,
soup.
so it was really
I'm at
just a
sea.
confirmation of what I had suspected deep down for a long
Big
time.
difference. Like,
It was 2 in the morning when I decided that
there's
I
nothing here.
couldn't just leave it there overnight. I got up, dressed, and quietly headed out into the rain towards the library, making sure to take my gloves.
Nothing here.
My coat was supposed to be water resistant, but still managed to soak in the 20 minutes it took me to walk there.
The bombos for
I had
item
the
at
key for
Gale
locking
Cliff
up that
Town.
night and deactivated
Oh,
the
you're
alarm
talking about the
when
ruins.
it was almost pitch black inside, and part of me wanted to keep it that way. But I turned on as many of the lights as I could without it being immediately obvious outside the building. It wasn't many. I still had to half feel my way through the foyer and into the library complex.
Oh, fuck you.
As I approached the desk, the book returns cart where I'd left the bone turner's tale, I began to step less cautiously. It was darker in that corner of the library, and I put a hand out to steady myself against the handle of the small metal cart. I'd taken my gloves off at that point, and my hand came away wet. I quickly bumbled for the torch I had snatched before heading out and turned it on. Red dripped and pulsed from the cart, soaking the pages and forming a small pool around it. The books were bleeding.
There
I
it is.
laughed at that.
I see you.
It was so appropriate somehow,
Leave me alone.
so utterly correct that those neighboring
Why are you
books
chasing me?
contaminated,
Boy, you don't come out this far.
just as it seemed right and proper that
Sir?
when my torch found the bone turner's tail, it was dry,
Sir?
unmarked by the gory scene around it,
Oh, he's like angry. I don't like this.
and carefully took out that sinister volume and placed it on the desk. Perhaps I should have fought harder against the temptation to look inside, but my curiosity was too strong. Thick gloves made turning individual pages almost impossible, and I still had enough good sense to
I don't think he's supposed to go out that far.
a few random pages and started reading. Perhaps I was being paranoid. After all, I touched the book with my bare hands when it was first given
The
into
fuck?
the library. I had no problems. But the image of Jared's mother wouldn't leave my head. How her arm had twisted when it moved. I decided to keep the gloves on. It was written in prose, and certainly seemed to be a story of some kind. The part I read dealt with an unnamed man, at various points referred to as the bone turner, the bonesmith, or just the turner. What
He's an Eldritch
assemblage
Horror,
of
he goes
people
very quick.
as they
Hello,
made their way into
Dermot.
a small village.
This is game so much in
It's
streamers. I
unclear
watch this
from
game
what I read
since
whether
the
he
Judge
was
streams 5 weeks
traveling
in a
with
row.
them
Oh
or
man.
simply following them.
I have just started it, and I have
Unsettled by
very
the details
bad
which surrounded them.
thalassophobia.
The way the
So,
parson
okay, so
put
how
his
am I
hand over his
supposed
mouth whenever he stared
to...
too long at the nuns, or how the cook
Tee.
looked at the meat
How am I
prepared
supposed
with the same
to,
eyes that looked at the pardoner.
drop the
It was only
bombs?
at that
What
point
do
that I
I...
realized the
How
book
do I
was
do that?
describing the pilgrims from the Canterbury Tales. Now, this certainly wasn't some lost section of a Chaucer classic.
Well,
It was
I mean,
written in modern
I
English,
can
none
deal
of
with the
archaic
Eldritch
spelling or
horrors
pronunciation
once
of
they
the
show
original.
up. It's
Besides
not
the
knowing
Bible
when
itself
or
was
where they're
questionable
going to show
quality.
up. That's the problem.
There was something compelling about it, though. The debate about how finished the Canterbury Tales were, well,
How
it's
do
a
I
very real
use the...
debate, and a prologue over
How
I think
do
what
I-
Tales are promised, but the most complete surviving version doesn't even reach
Just
2
drop
dozen.
kick them easy, yeah.
The book just sort of
Paranoia
ends,
is a gameplay
and
mechanic,
Chaucer adding a
yeah.
short epilogue imploring God for forgiveness.
How
A
do I
thing that
use
is
them?
generally read as sarcastic or rhetorical. I flicked ahead a few pages and found the bonesmith had apparently crept up to the miller while he slept. He described him silently reaching inside him and... It's a bit hazy. All I remember clearly is the line. And from his rib a flute to play that merry tune of Marrow took. And as for the rest, I don't recall in detail. But I know that I almost threw up, and that the miller did not survive.
I hear grumbly.
This was on page 16, and it was a thick book.
Oh,
I turned
that's
to
how.
the frontispiece, desperately
You just
curious as to
walk
how
up
this
to
book
it.
had ended up in our library. In the harsh light of the torch, I could see the creases and peeling edges of the Chiswick Library label, which usually meant it had been removed and restuck.
Got really close to the
taken
rocks.
from
I
another
mean, yeah.
I could even see the edges of another label underneath.
Boy.
Using a
I'm
pair
gonna
of
take
scissors,
this
I
first.
carefully peeled off the top one.
Whoop, I am not going to get that first. I'm going to crash.
To give the label to another library.
There we go.
Probably the last place it had been left. But I think it must have been in Scandinavia.
Hooray.
Because it was
Earrings.
something like the library of Jürgensburg or Jürgenlight or Jürgenlicht or something like that. It didn't help. I was all set to return to reading the thing. when I heard the
Wow,
sound of
it's
breaking glass
so
behind me.
fucking big.
I turned around to see Jared Hopworth standing in front of the shattered window.
Alright.
Or at least, I assume it was Jared.
You
Was
just
it
started your
demanding
playthrough? Well, I
football
mean,
from
I
Jared's
played it
voice,
for about 8
with long,
hours
loose-fitting trousers and
the
a
other
hood
day.
that almost completely covered his face.
What is the wind doing? Leave me alone, wind. I don't trust you. I don't trust
He
like
was
that.
longer than Jared had been, and stood at a strange angle as though his legs were too stiff to use. When he gestured for the book, I saw that his fingers looked
So getting
sharp,
past that barrier,
as though the
yeah.
skin at the ends were being
I'm
pushed
gonna rest
into a
because
tight
I
knot
don't
by
I
something
don't
inside.
trust that
I
at
told him
all.
that the library was closed,
No, not one bit.
because at that moment I could think of nothing
My
else to say.
storage. I'm gonna drop that in my
He ignored me
storage,
and
and
asked
we're
if
gonna
I'd
go
give him the
back.
book. That was when I did something a little rash, which is to say I punched him. I had never really thought
Orcas.
of
Oh, they
punching
disappeared.
before, or even
Bye,
desperation,
orcas.
so it
Oh, hi,
was
orcas.
quite a shock to me
See, you didn't
when
scare
I
me this
managed to get a
time.
single solid fist into his
This
solar
time.
plexus. But as I did this is the part that still gives me nightmares. I felt his flesh give way, and almost retract,
Have you found the doggy yet?
drawing
Yes.
me in
I told you I
close.
found the dog.
and I felt
And
his
that I
ribs
gave him to the researcher.
shut tight around my hand as though his rib cage were trying to point me
Look inside. There we are.
sharper than I would have thought possible. And at last,
What's this voice? This is the Magnus
without actually
Archives,
started me screaming.
which feels
Never before or since
appropriate.
have I screamed like that, and I'm still a bit surprised I'm capable of making such a noise. There you have it. In my panic, I dropped the copy of the Bone Turner's Tale, and in less than a second,
The erotic
Jared was
fish
on.
on
He released my hand and grabbed
On
it with a
stream?
frantic desperation before he turned to
For
run back
free?
out the way he came in.
live.
I started to chase after him until I saw how he was moving.
There's
How
only
many
soup.
fingers he had. He had added some extras. That was the moment he finally all got too much for him.
And quite TOS. Yeah, exactly. Like,
It wasn't my fault.
no, man.
It wasn't my responsibility.
That's illegal.
I had no idea what I was dealing with.
So you've returned. I wasn't sure you were coming
Just
back.
stood
Yeah,
there
neither
and
was I, frankly.
watched the thing
Uh,
that was once Jared.
You dragged a
disappear
massive
into the
music
rain.
box into the room, gouging the wooden floorboards
I never
beneath
saw
it.
him again.
The collector doesn't seem to mind. He's
The
focused on the
police turned up
box.
soon after. Someone had apparently heard my screams and called in a report.
And we're wolfing and barking again. As I have a mouthful of food again. Woof woof bark bark. Woof 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 bark bark. Woof 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 bark bark bark. Woof woof bark bark. Woof 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 bark bark. Woof 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 bark bark bark.
I haven't done any further research on
Here we
the
go.
book. The best
You found this at the
possibly
cliffs, didn't
imagined
you? I don't remember.
is the last I ever need to hear or speak
I'm gonna be cooperative.
Jared Hopworth
Yes. Ah,
or the Bone
excellent.
Turner's Tale.
This should make future return journeys a little more
Statement
swift.
ends.
Allow me.
Well, this makes me.
He selects one of the silver
Deeply
ribbons trailing from the
unhappy.
crimson-bound book,
I've barely scratched
opening
the
it to
surface
some
of the archives,
unseen
but
page.
I've already uncovered evidence of
Turning
two
to catch the
separate
dim light,
surviving books
he whispers the
from
words on the
urban legends
page.
library.
After a
Until
few
you mentioned
seconds,
that, I was
you
tempted
feel
to
your stomach
dismiss
drop
much of it
suddenly,
out of hand.
as though thrown by a
As it
high
stands
wave.
now, I believe every
He closes
word.
the book and turns his
I've
attention
seen
back
what
to
lifeless
you.
work can do, and this news, even 17 years out of date, is still
Now,
very
there are yet
concerning.
more relics to find. Keep
I'm
looking.
going to have a discussion with
The reef at Stellar Basin may have caught and accumulated
I
some
know he'll just
wreckage.
give me the old
Search
record
around
and
that
study,
area.
not interfere or contain
I'll mark a
speech.
location on your map where
But
you
I
can
at least
begin your
need to make him
search.
aware of it.
Anything else?
Tim and Sasha have cross-referenced the events here with police reports, and sure enough, there was also the arrest of Jared Hopworth for breaking and entering.
Well, I've been
Those
to
license
Stellar
plates.
Basin, you
He
see.
was never found, though, and the crimes weren't
And I'm
serious
aware
enough to keep the case active for very long.
of what lies in
I've
Stellar
been doing as much
Basin,
research myself as possible,
and I don't like
but
it.
the book seems to have
So,
vanished
like-
along with him. I asked Martin to try and hunt down Mr. Adekoya himself for a
So,
follow-up.
like, is there another
Being
option?
informed that he passed away in 2006. He was found lying dead in the middle of the road on the night
What's
of
my
April
money at?
17th.
Okay.
Despite
Then
the
I'm
fact
gonna
there was no crushing or
Do a
trauma,
little bit of, you
the
know,
inquest
what my
found
job is
him
supposed to
in a
be.
car accident
So a little bit of fishing.
due to the mangled position in which he was
Try and
found.
get some
It was a closed casket.
money.
Recording ends.
The Magnus Archives is a podcast distributed by rustyquill.com and licensed
that
under a
is the
Creative
end of that
Commons
episode.
Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike International License. Today's episode was written and performed by Jonathan Sims. It was produced by Alexander J. Newell and Murray Porter, and directed by Alexander J. Newell. To comment on episodes, make donations and view links, images, videos, and show notes. Visit rustyquill.com.
We had it see no sea cups.
Rate and review us on iTunes. Visit us on Facebook. Tweet us on Twitter at The Rusty Quill, or email us at mail@rustyquill.com. Thanks for listening.
No sea cops during the day. At nighttime, on the other hand, that's a different story. Speaking of which, well, actually, I'm gonna go this way.
Rusty Quill presents
That man won't
The
snitch.
Magnus Archives.
Okay. Sell all trinkets. Well, I feel like that I should be allowed to do that.
Episode 18. The Man Upstairs.
So some trinkets. Sell her photography equipment. Alright. Return to town. Time to bother the painter at odd hours of the night. Deliver a flag. Ouroboros. Yes. That's it.
Statement of Christoph Rudenko regarding his interactions with a first-floor resident of Welbeck House, Wandsworth. Original statement given December 12th, 2008. Audio recording by Jonathan Sims, head archivist of the Magnus Institute.
Ba-ba-ba-da-ba. Hey!
Statement begins. Never buy a ground floor flat.
Oh!
It may seem like a good idea, especially
Lighthouse
if,
keeper is
like
waiting
me,
for you
you've
on the
spent
dock,
a decade
looking
rapid shopping up
displeased.
3 flights of stairs every week.
I saw you sailing
Always
out
the
towards the
always
horizon,
has a worse
crossing
view
that
and
deep
is far more
expanse.
prone to
Do you
break
really
than
think that's
other
wise?
problems. And then there is
No.
the matter of
Actually, I don't. But,
I know that
it
more
was
often
fine.
than not also have people
Maybe
living
this
above
time,
you.
you need to be
Moving
more
from living
careful.
in a top floor
Even
flat
you,
to the
with
ground
all of
floor
your
like I do, is
experience,
not a
cannot
common
truly know
thing,
the ocean.
but it's
Nobody
still
can.
true.
Abruptly,
I never
she
had
walks
any real
away.
concerns
Her eyes
about
scan
it
the
until I
water as
moved
she
to the
walks
ground
along the
floor of
dock.
Welbeck House.
That's
These
honestly
days,
fair.
I keep a much closer eye on those I live near.
I
Welbeck
like
House
green
is a
ship.
fine
Yeah, I am
Wandsworth
painfully
centre.
aware.
A great area to live, actually. It's close enough to London proper that you can commute in easily, and enough amenities
Haven't
that
seen
you
that
don't
strange
often
red
need,
light in a while. Wonder what
especially
it
if,
was.
like me, you're self-employed.
I don't know.
It wasn't cheap, but I've always been good with money, so when I decided to try and actually buy a place at age 34, I was able to afford a nice flat. After almost a year of searching, I settled on the ground floor at Welbeck. At the time, I hadn't really given much thought to my neighbours, Those I had encountered in the course of buying the place had seemed nice enough, and the previous owners of my flat hadn't mentioned anything. On the day I moved in, this would have been late 2002, I saw a man smoking, leaning out of the window just above my own. It was a grey, overcast day. The forecast had said there would be rain later, so I was keen to move the
I don't
last
think
of my
I've got
boxes
any.
inside to
I
start
have no
unpacking.
research parts.
I
I have been
didn't really
pinged.
pay him much attention.
Who pinged me?
I remember that he was wearing a hooded jacket, though, pulled up tight and obscuring most of his face. We locked eyes briefly. At least, I assume we did. I couldn't see his eyes, but I felt him looking at me. I could swear I smelled the weirdest odor. It's hard to describe, halfway between the smell of a pavement after rain on a hot day and chicken that's starting to turn. It was unpleasant, to say the least.
Okay.
But the wind changed and was gone as quickly as it came. The man in the upstairs window kept
So it
watching several of my
was
boxes inside, just
dry
continuing
dock
to
is
smoke
where I'm
in
looking at.
silence.
800,
At one point, I
800.
came outside to get the last
Okay.
bits
Now I must struggle
He
for
was gone.
money.
and
I am
slightly
poor
confused
because
by
I
the
have to keep
encounter.
repairing my ship.
It's hard to say exactly why, as aside from the smell, which could have come from anywhere, there was nothing outwardly upsetting about it. Yet something in the man's manner had shaken me. I didn't even know at the time whether it was a man. That was just an assumption I made, but I certainly had no plans to check.
Low
I'm
stock.
quite a private person, so the idea of going round and trying to meet my neighbours at all was not one that I gave a lot of consideration, let alone this one.
Oh,
who spent
that's
the better
empty.
part of half an hour staring at me.
Hmm.
I decided to ignore the whole thing and get on with the process of moving in. I was very successful at ignoring the man upstairs, at least at first. It wasn't difficult as he was
Yeah! I got a little toot
as
toot.
far as I could tell. In fact, as the time in my new home wore on, I started to recognise the other residents of Welbeck House. The white family that lived across the hall with their little girl. I sometimes heard her in the evening loudly protesting at bedtime. The old spinster next door, Diane, I think her name was, or Diana.
Oops.
The Asian guy on the first floor that worked nights and slammed the doors too much. I doubt I ever exchanged more than a dozen words with any of them, but I began to know their sounds and their habits. In all that time, though, I'm not sure I ever saw the man who lived above me. Not in the hallway, not out the window. It was like he didn't exist, which was fine by me, except that I would still very occasionally catch a whiff of that smell.
Love all
rotten,
the aberrations in
dirty.
this game.
It would
It's
catch me
creative
by
design.
surprise, and I'd usually
Yay.
spend a minute trying to track it
Capitalism
down before
exists
it
even
vanished.
amongst Eldritch horrors.
Once,
Yeah.
I swear that as I stopped to look around, I heard the door upstairs close quietly. It seemed to me pretty obvious it was him. It wasn't ideal, but his hygiene problem was nobody's business but his own. And having figured out the source of the smell, it stopped bothering me quite so much.
Don't like
in those
that.
rare moments that I caught it in the air currents of our building. It didn't enter my home, although I did take to lighting scented candles just in case, a habit I still keep up today. I decided all that was important to me was that he was quiet, which he was, at least for the first couple of years. The bang
It's another-
started on 5th
It's another
July,
ship.
2004.
Well, another
I
quote-unquote
know
ship.
because it was the day before my 37th birthday, and I was unpacking a crate
No
of beer
toot toot.
for friends I had invited over. At first, I
Aww.
assumed the man upstairs
It's
was
just one little-
nailing
Aw.
something into the wall, but after 10 minutes, it still hadn't stopped. Instead, it just seemed to move. Well, at first, it sounded like something being nailed into his
That
wall.
one was
The banging
mean.
started to move downwards. Till
Look,
it
Flores,
seemed
I
he
think
was
this game
knocking
looks
things
super
right into
cool,
the
but
floor.
also whenever I see it, I
At
think
one
about
point, he was
the boat
hammering
that
directly over the
Grimes
light,
and
causing
Morgan
it to
Friends
sway slightly
built to
with each
sail
blow.
down the Mississippi, but
This went on for
failed.
almost an hour, and all I could
I
do
have
was
no
try
idea what you're talking about, but hello, Orc Flores.
Even so, by the time it finally finished, I was on the verge of doing exactly that. It did stop though, and after it became clear it wasn't coming back anytime soon, I tried to put it out of my mind to get back to my preparations. Thankfully, there was no disturbance from upstairs during my small party the following night, just the family from across the hall at one point asking for the music to be turned down. In fact, I didn't hear anything from him for another 2 weeks, when the banging started again. Again, it was almost an hour of hammering first into the walls, then moving down onto the floor before stopping
Now we go this way.
I was not happy about this, as I'm sure you can imagine, but I was still reluctant to confront this nameless person who lived over me, so I let it slide.
That is, yeah, that is a
That
new
went on
sentence
every
to
2
me,
weeks,
and I am
the hammering for an hour,
curious,
thereabouts.
to say the
I wanted to find
least.
someone to complain to, but it seemed like whoever lived there owned the flat outright, so there was no landlord or housing association that I could report him to. The final straw came about 6 months later. It was actually a very simple
It's
thing.
morning time.
I got a package delivered incorrectly to my flat. It was addressed to Mr. Toby Carlyle, and the flat number on it was not mine, but that of my upstairs neighbour. The envelope was thick and soft. It must have been mainly full of bubble wrap or other packing material. It wasn't much, but it gave me another reason to go upstairs, and while delivering it, I could politely request that he stop his fortnightly hammering. It was harder than I thought to walk up those stairs, and I was surprised to find that my legs were shaking slightly as I reached the top. I got another whiff of that dank, rotten smell as I approached. The carpet immediately in front of the door was stained, ever so slightly, darker colour than it should have been, as though something had leaked out from underneath it. The wood was old and worn compared to
I
the
guess
others
it's the
in
same
building,
either
which
way.
looks to have been replaced relatively recently. But there was no number on it, or any indication that it was, in fact, Toby Carlyle who lived there. I knocked, trying to give the action a confidence that I frankly did not feel. There was no answer, so I knocked again, louder this time. I heard some movement from inside, gradually heading towards the door.
I have a weird
The steps
fixation
were
on weird
muffled
stories
as he
like
was
that.
walking
Grimes,
over
the singer,
thick
built a
carpet,
boat in
until
2009
they stopped on the other
and was going to
side.
live on it with some chickens and a partner,
There was no
but
sound
the
at
motor
all.
on it never worked. Oh my god.
I waited for a
Yes,
minute.
what are
and
we
was just
listening to?
about knock
We
again when
are
the door
listening
opened.
to the
Just a
Magnus
crack.
Archives.
There didn't seem to be any lights on it.
It felt
The window
appropriate.
was wide enough for me to get a good look, or even see the man himself. But it was enough that I heard when a cracked, ragged voice spoke. It said, "What do you want?" Through the crack, I was hit by a sudden wave of that rancid air and reeled backwards, fighting back the urge to vomit. Through it, I just about managed to stammer out the question as to whether he was Toby Carlyle,
Aberration.
but I'd had a delivery for him. There was silence for a second. Then a hand shot out
gross.
and grabbed the package I held, pulling it out of my grasp before I had a chance to fully realize what was happening. The hand was thin and pale, with the long, filthy yellow fingernails. On the back, I saw a single dark red mark that might have been a cut or a lesion, but it was gone before I had a chance to see it in more detail. The door
Hooray.
slammed in my face, and I was left
Sound
standing in
design
the
is
hall,
Dredge is so
nauseous
cool.
and
It really is. Like,
as I
they
turned to
do
go, I
an
noticed there was
amazing
a
job
viscous
at
liquid
just
on my jacket sleeve,
at
then a hand
atmosphere.
brushed me,
Like,
thick and off-white. I had to
Ugh.
throw the jacket out in the end,
picked up Lumpy Space
couldn't get rid of
Princess.
the
Oh my
smell.
god.
and so that was it for a
Not
while.
everything is
The man
adventure
upstairs
time.
was named Toby, and he was a disgusting shut-in who smelled rancid and occasionally made hammering noises. It was a long way from ideal, but it was something I could understand and live with.
Alright.
2 years passed.
We purchase upgrade.
was
We
forgotten.
have more ship now.
He had become just another part of my life and could be lived in. It wasn't until late 2007 that I had paused to really think about him again.
I want to look at ship. Okay.
My mother's health had taken a turn for the worst over the previous
Nice.
few months, and I had made the decision to move back up to Sheffield to be nearer to her.
Just want to move
As
it.
I mentioned, I'm self-employed, so the move wasn't as much of a difficulty as it might have been, but it did leave me with the need to sell my flat. I don't want to get bogged down with the details of my mother's
Okay.
ailments. In the end, she actually
Oh.
passed away a few months later from complications following an operation. I still ended up moving, though for a very different reason.
26. I
It was
see.
difficult to sell the place.
More ship. More ship.
Every time
Yeah.
someone came
No,
back for a
don't.
viewing, I did the same way,
Refund,
and I
please.
started
Thank
to
you. I'm
dread
poor.
when the inevitable question would come.
Okay, I think I've got
What's that
one
smell?
in storage. I do not.
It was the third time that potential buyers, a nice professional couple who worked in the city, pointed out the stain on the living room ceiling. It was subtle at first, slight discoloration that
see
I
it.
had managed to overlook. They assumed it was a leak, and I did too, promising to have a plumber come over and check it out. Though I didn't hear back from them anyway. I did call for it, but for whatever reason was told that it would be another week before they could see me. I tried to have a couple more viewings in that time, but the stain on the ceiling was becoming more obvious, and the smell had begun to pervade my whole flat, to the point where I was
I
thinking
don't
about
have any
staying in a
cloths, so I
hotel
would
until
need
the
to
plumber
grab
arrived.
that, but...
I was starting to doubt it was a leakage water pipe. As it grew, it started to turn a dark yellow in and glistened ever so slightly when the light hit it. I knew it was something to do with the flat upstairs,
More
though when I went up to
fish.
ask this time, my knocking went unanswered. Finally, the plumber arrived. He wrinkled his nose when he entered, though didn't make any comment about it. I assume unpleasant smells are just part of his job. I pointed him towards the stain on the ceiling, and he looked momentarily confused before telling me what I already knew, that this didn't look like a problem with the pipes. Still, he said he'd need to knock through the ceiling to have a look, and I'd need a contractor to come and redo that bit of ceiling anyway. I stood back and put up his step ladder and climbed up to have a look at it.
There we go.
He
Alright.
put on a pair of rubber gloves and gingerly touched the spot, testing it with his fingers. It collapsed almost immediately, buckling and tearing like wet cardboard. And the fluid that oozed out of it was a sickly yellow in colour, with viscous white lumps glistening in it. The plumber looked like he was going to throw up. I did throw up. He made his apologies and said he'd have to call someone. I didn't try to stop him leaving. I was furious, and the anger that surged through me overcame any apprehension I might have felt from approaching the flat upstairs. I stormed up and began to hammer on the door, shouting and threatening that I'd call the police if he didn't answer. On my third
Just
knock,
night.
the door swung inwards ever so slightly, and I realized it was not locked. There
So I
is
wasn't listening to the
little
podcast.
in my life
Is
that I
this key
regret.
code? What are we listening to? Okay, I'm just gonna make a thing on OBS because this is like the 7th person to ask me, and I have answered it
The
every
smell had
time.
been overpowering. At this point,
let me
I was
see.
almost used to it and fought down the nausea. There was no light coming from inside, and I fumbled on the wall for a switch. I found it, and the instant before I flicked it on, I realized I had
Oh,
something
okay.
soft and wet
This
on the wall
it's called The
next to
Man Upstairs.
Unfortunately, before I had a chance to fully comprehend what I was feeling,
This
I
is the
turned
Magnus
around
Archive is
and
all
saw Toby Carlyle's
horror
flat
stuff.
in its
Is there
entirety.
a transcript? Not that I'm aware of, or at the very least, not one that I can post.
But it was enough to see by. I looked around and saw that every surface, the walls, the floor, the table, everything except the curtained windows, was covered in meat.
Let me
Steak,
see.
chunks of chicken, even
See
a
if I
whole
can
leg of
grab-
what I assumed was once lamb had been nailed everywhere. There were layers of it. The newest editions simply stuck on top of the old, and a putrid
Oh, wait.
yellow-white
There
rot
is a
seen where the oldest
transcript,
pieces
but
of
I
meat
have
since
no
turned
idea how
liquid.
to.
Flies buzzed
show
thick
it.
in the air, and maggots carpeted the
It's a
place.
spooky podcast. Yeah,
Looking up, I saw
it's
the light tube
a
had been smeared
yeah,
with
it's a
grease,
horror.
causing the place to
It's a
be
horror
bathed in
podcast.
dull red light. Lying there in the center of the hallway was the body of Toby Carlyle. His hood was pulled back, and I saw his face was covered in puckered septic lesions and holes.
That's
I couldn't
pleasant.
tell which of them had once housed his eyes. I was frozen in place by the raw horror of what I was seeing, and almost automatically my hand
Yeah,
found
I
its way
lost
to my phone and I
interest.
dialed the
Fair
police.
enough. Honestly, this
It was
one
only then
is
that my
probably
eyes
the grossest
drifted
one so
numbly
far.
towards
Like
the
most of them
kitchen.
are actually just like
There, in the center
creepy,
of the floor
but this
was a
one
pile of
is just
discarded
kind of
meat and
gross.
bone, stacked almost as high as a person. It seemed less decayed than the rest of it, though that foul yellow fluid oozed from it, and this is the reason I'm talking to your institute, you see. Everything else could be put down to the problems of a very, very sick man. Nothing supernatural about it, but when I looked at that heaped pile of meat, it moved. I don't know how.
Like legitimately though,
I
like
don't
this
know
is
quite how to
this is
explain
really
it,
just
other than to
like
tell
the
you
grossest one so far.
there
Because
were
I've been listening to it
signs.
all day and it hasn't been
It
like
opened all
this.
its
So
eyes. The next thing I remember is the police's arrival and a lot of questions from officers trying to hide the fact that they had just finished vomiting. The pile of meat was gone, though the bits that had been nailed to the walls and floors remained. I told the police everything that I just told you, although they dismissed the last bit out of hand. I believe they had to call in a hazmat team in the end. There's not much more to it, really. The rest of the story is largely arguing with insurance companies and counting how many showers it took before I felt clean again. I did move out in the end, and now live in a house in Clapham with some friends. People who are very clean.
It's a
Don't
toot
mind the
squid,
fact
yeah.
that I've recently become a vegetarian. Statement ends. Well, I'm certainly glad I had my lunch before recording this statement. Looking into this one has proven a bit tricky, as police, hospital, and even fire department records give wildly conflicting reports. What we can be sure of is that on the evening of October the 22nd, 2007, there was an incident at a first-floor flat in Welbeck House that involved hazardous biological material and led to the recovery of the body of one Toby Carlyle, the legal owner of the property. The cause of death was listed as gangrene. We contacted Mr. Rudenko, who confirmed that since moving he had had no further experiences he believed to be linked to these events and, after an extensive course of counselling, was attempting to move past them. He did corroborate the existing statement, though, saying he still believed it to be a true account of what happened to him. I'm not entirely sure.
Oh, something's happening, and I'm not seeing it.
To the contrary.
You found out the other day that there's merch for Dredge. Oh.
Sasha managed to get access
Okay.
to some of Toby Carlyle's old financial records, and it didn't appear like he had any real money coming in. And what he did have was largely going to pay council tax on the property. There are no records of transactions at any supermarkets or online delivery firms, and Tim even asked around some of the local butchers, as Martin is still off sick. At the end of all this, we've still been unable to answer one question. Where was he getting the meat? I don't know why, but it bothers me.
Yeah.
End recording.
I don't know why, but it bothers me. Is such a fucking mood.
The Magnus Archives is a podcast distributed by rustyquill.com and licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike International License. Today's episode was written and performed by Jonathan Sims. It was produced by Alexander J. Newell.
Hopefully the
Michael
next
Bowe,
episode
and
will
Murray
not
Porter,
be as
and
gross.
directed by Alexander J. Newell. To comment on
I am
episodes,
I
make
am more fond
donations
of
at
horror,
images,
not
videos,
gore.
and show
And
notes.
that just seemed
Visit
gross, and
rustyquill.com.
I'm not a
Rate
fan
and
of that.
review us on iTunes. Visit us on Facebook. Tweet us on Twitter at the Rusty
Gore,
Quill,
yeah.
or email us at mail at
Not
rustyquill.com.
not my forte.
Thanks for
I am
listening.
much more of an eldritch horror. If none of this has been made obvious already. Gore, yeah. Not a fan of gorer. Oh, just the one. Okay.
Rusty Quill presents the Magnus Archive.
Oh, just the one. Okay, I'm probably gonna need to go out a little bit further
Episode
to
9.
get some stuff that's actually more than just one per one per attempt. I'm gonna grab this just in case. Yeah, horror that relies on heavy gore is not my cup of tea. Yeah, no, because it's like at that point, oh, I'm not scared. I'm just grossed out. Like, oh, this is so scary. It's like, no, this is just nasty. Like,
Original statement given May 30th, 2000.
I'm not afraid. I just feel unclean.
Audio recorded by Jonathan Sims, head archivist of the Magnus Institute, London. Statement begins.
So I'm not a fan of slasher flicks or anything like
Thank you
that.
for coming.
Fix,
I know
slasher
this can't be easy
flicks.
to arrange, and I appreciate the opportunity to make my statement. The prison service probably didn't make it easy for you. They're understandably hesitant to give anyone extended access to me in case I get violent. But I'm very glad they made an exception for you. At least assuming that you're real. I hope you're real. But maybe it's that hope that's being used against me in a cruel joke. Or maybe the joke would be that I would let that doubt cost me my only chance to tell my story. Either way, I choose to make my statement, and if you're not real, then hopefully no harm done. We'll get to the cannibalism,
Stomach
of
turn
course,
rather than
but
fears
first I
activated.
just
Yeah,
need to provide some
exactly.
context. I don't know how much you work with the church in your institute. You may be surprised that a man of the cloth such as myself, however far from grace I may have fallen, would enlist the aid of an organization dedicated to studying the paranormal. Well, to be honest, it's generally kept quiet.
I mean,
that the Catholic Church is not against belief in the supernatural.
church and
outside of the official
paranormal tend to go
doctrine, demons,
hand in hand,
ghosts, black
frankly.
magic. It's generally up to the individual how much they believe in these things, and I believe that very much. of what the
Yay!
church is real.
Three-headed cod.
Dangerous.
3 times the
I've
flavor.
always seen the devil's work as a very tangible thing, and those priests who might speak of them as metaphor or symbol are, I fear, often placing themselves and their parishioners in a position of peril. Sorry, this is becoming a homily. It's just been some time since I've had a chance to express myself like this. I almost don't care if it is on one of its phantasms. So it was only
Godhead. Oh my
I
god.
suppose that it was relatively early in my
I do like an
vocation as a
absurdly
priest that I
comical
trained as an
amount of blood,
exorcist.
though. The horror
It's not
comedies.
something I special
It's still
with.
not.
Every
I don't know.
diocese should have
I don't know.
an
I feel.
exorcist available, or failing
I
that,
just
a bishop
don't.
can do it, but 9 times out of 10,
Now,
the
speaking of
duties
merch, one thing
exorcist are to
is his
recommend a
three-headed
good
cod
psychiatrist,
fleshy. Oh my
doctor, or
god, you have no clue how
substance
tempted I
abuse
am to get it.
program.
It's honestly
The
adorable.
bishops
That
don't
sounds
have the time.
amazing.
I was an exorcist
Oh, I
for the
need it.
Diocese of Oxford when it was
Yeah,
happening.
I don't know. I've never been able to really get into a horror comedy.
But I was
Like,
adopted from about
the whole.
2005, right through
I
to my
just
arrest in
can't.
2009.
Like,
There were 2 exorcists in the diocese,
trying to
myself
think.
and an Augustinian by the name of Father Harrogate. I would ask as a favour that you not follow up with him. He plays a new part in what happened to me and would, I think, be upset by any reminder of my actions. In my time, I have performed just over 100 exorcisms with varying degrees of success. It was relatively rare that it felt like much more than a blessing or a prayer. It still helped in most cases, but as one of the most common types of possession is not the exorcist style of speaking in a demonic tongue and floating off the bed, but rather that of an unnatural depression, it was often hard to be sure. It is difficult to say how many were devout believers who came to us with a very natural depression and simply preferred to look to the church than to counselling or medicine. Even those were helped to some degree, I believe, even if only as a placebo. On a few occasions,
I don't know why that
having
fish
encountered
pin
him,
particular
certainly
got me.
affirmed my belief in the devil and my faith in my... I'm sorry. It won't let me say the words. It won't let me pray either. But I hope I will not be judged too harshly for it on the final day. As I was saying, there were times when I felt things pushing
Horror and
back.
comedy are
I
two
was once
genres that are
cursed
too
at in
different to be
Sumerian
combined,
by
in
a
my
young man
opinion.
who was
It's,
utterly
yeah,
illiterate
like,
and had the names of my childhood pets
I
thrown at me
just-
by an old Jamaican man.
it's one of
I will
those
admit
moments
that
of
there were
like,
times that I
hey,
felt
I'm glad
very
that you
afraid
find
of what I
some
was
value
going
in this where I
I
can't,
always had
but like
faith.
it is not at all
I always had faith.
my forte.
None of it prepared
I'm
me
glad
for
you
what
enjoy
happened
this.
to me. There was something
I
else
don't.
entirely. I was doing some work at the Catholic chaplaincy in St. Albans, generally trying to help the spiritual well-being.
Just
of
trying to
the
get
students who
some
came to
money
us.
in
When
real
Father
quick.
Smith, one of the other priests working there, came to me. He said he
Fishmonger.
had a student from St. Hugh's asking after an exorcism and wanted to refer her to me.
Alright.
I told him of course, and he set up a meeting between us. The student's name was Bethany O'Connor, and much of what she told me was
Let's
under
see
the
if
seal of
we
confession,
can-
something I will not break.
We
even
can
now.
brave some
So
water.
suffice it to say, she believed that she was no longer in control of her own
I'm
life.
already getting
Even as we
anxious.
talked, she spent much of her time looking around or staring into my eyes with what I can only describe as pointed suspicion. Bethany told me that her will was still her own, but she could no longer trust her senses, and had found herself doing much that she did not understand. I remember one moment very clearly in our second meeting. We were taking a walk around the
Shit, I think
botanical
I've been
garden,
spotted.
as she said it calmed her when talking of her problem. She reached into her bag, took out what appears to be a small slab of stone, slate, I think, started to lift it to her mouth, as if to eat it.
Get me out, get me out, get
I
me
asked
out,
what
get
she
me
was
out.
doing, and she stopped, looked at the rock she held in her hand, and threw it away before bursting into tears. She told me that it felt like something was in her head, changing saw and felt and thought. I asked when this had started, and she told me it was after she had moved down to her college halls into a house on Wellington Road with her friends. I suggested that
No, because every time I go to them, they're like, "Oh, you approach them and it doesn't respond to you." So no, I have not
After several
sacrificed
discussions,
anything
I
to them.
agreed to look over the house
To them,
and perform a
because-
small blessing
yeah.
in case there was anything wrong with the place, spiritually speaking. It was a cold morning in December.
And escape.
near the end
Yeah,
of the
I
summer,
busted my
I
one
visited
good
a
engine,
Road.
so
It
I'm
was
kind
an
of
old house, though not
putt-putting
so old
now.
as to be unusual in that part of Oxford. There clearly was a small
I'm just
family
happy I
house,
have a
now
second engine
partitioned
this
by the
time.
lettings agency to house as many students as possible. Bethany told me that there were 6 of them living there at the time. I went around the house looking for signs of anything amiss, but found nothing that seemed out of the ordinary. She kept asking me if I felt any evil in the house, and I tried to explain to her that priests, unfortunately, don't have the power to simply sense the presence of evil. I didn't realize how unfortunate that was, at least not until we got to her room. It was on the first floor at the back of the house, and it was a long, thin bedroom, easily the biggest. It was adorned in typical student fashion with movie posters.
This is
and
why
black
I
bookshelves.
tend not to go out at
My
night,
attention
because
was
I
taken
just
by a
don't
large patch
have
of
the
wall
luck that some
where the
other
wallpaper
people
had been
do.
crudely hacked away to reveal the bare brickwork underneath. Written in faded blue paint was a single word: Mentis. I'd been out of seminary for some years at this point, and had never been one for the Latin Mass, but I still knew the word for mind. My immediate assumption was that Bethany had painted it in some sort of mania, but looking closer I saw that the paint was far too old to have been done since she moved in. It looked more as though it had been painted on the wall and then covered up with layers of wallpaper over the years, until finally being unearthed by stripping it away. What was slightly more concerning was that watching Bethany pace around the room, following my gaze with some confusion, it became clear that she didn't seem able to see it.
All of
When I
them do
asked her
say
what the
so.
word on
Some
the
say you
wall
can't
meant to
read
her,
them,
she looked
others
at me as
have
though I was
etchings that
talking
require
nonsense.
fiche.
It didn't seem like there was much more to be gained there at that point, so I performed a short blessing over the place, took some photographs,
Yeah.
and told Bethany that I would have to come back later.
Yeah, everyone that I
didn't
came
think
across was like, "Oh no,
She
you,
seemed
it's
disappointed there wasn't anything
ignoring
more
you.
immediate that I was doing,
You can't.
but didn't try to
It
argue.
doesn't respond
So
to
I left
you." And
what
it's like,
would turn
"Oh,
out to be
okay."
my first visit to the house on Bullingdon Road, calling Father Singh to arrange a meeting the next day where we could discuss whether to attempt a full exorcism. It was at that meeting that I got a call from the hospital. Bethany had been admitted with severe facial lacerations and was asking to see me immediately. I made my way to the John Radcliffe as soon as I was able, and was surprised to see 2 police officers standing near her bed. I was met by Anne Willett, the nurse who Bethany had asked to call me. I knew Annie a bit already, as she had attended the church where I ministered, and I recognized her from the congregation. She explains to me that Bethany had apparently attempted to attack one of her housemates with a kitchen knife, and in the ensuing struggle, ended up falling headfirst into a full-length mirror, cutting herself very badly. I was, to put it mildly, somewhat taken aback. This was such an escalation from what Bethany had described before, and I was starting to fear that if I didn't manage to do something, the poor girl would most likely end up locked away somewhere. Annie was convinced that an exorcism was the only way, and so, finally, I agreed to do so. I had already got permission from the bishop, but that was before Bethany's hospitalization, and I would have preferred to discuss it with him. Still, it was
Oh,
clear she was
right,
getting worse, and I decided to take a risk and try
I
it
can
anyway.
get.
It was a
I
stupid
can get
risk to take.
I think the equipment from here,
It
maybe.
was cocky and complacent, full of spiritual pride
Laboratory.
and eagerness to
Laboratories in
test my
ruins.
faith against whatever was
Sure, all over the
inside
place.
of
Where do you want to
Bethany's
look?
soul.
What
Not
is
even considering that I
some
might be
strange-looking
listening.
prototype parts on this table, but you can't
Still,
see any use
I
for
had
them
paid
right now.
dearly for my hubris. We waited until the police had taken their
You want
statements
to
and left.
look, leave.
And then I
Okay.
set up,
Well,
began
I
the
thought.
exorcism. It went
Okay.
unusually.
Generation takes over. Okay. Well, no
There was
response there, I
resistance from
guess.
Bethany, almost no reaction at all.
I did though.
In many
That's just it.
parts of the
I've talked to her.
ceremony,
She
where
wants
my
me to
experience,
get
there was usually a
samples.
response, either from the demon or at least the victim. It was instead just
Also, I am not asking for assistance.
as she stared at me with a look just stood in the corner watching,
Oh shit.
clearly eager to help despite the fear I saw in her eyes. At last, Bethany locked eyes with me and slowly shook her head. "I'm so sorry," she
I will be abundantly clear whenever I'm asking for assistance, so no worries there.
Thrashing in obvious pain, I tried to continue the ritual, but the doctors pushed past me, desperately trying to help Bethany as blood began to pour from her mouth where she had bitten into her tongue. In the end, they couldn't save her. Brain hemorrhage, probably from the blow to the head when she hit the mirror. They just hadn't spotted it. I was asked to
I guess it's
leave in
lightning
no
striking.
uncertain terms. And the doctors made it very clear that I may not have been the one that hit her in the head. They held me very much accountable for her death. I was also given a
White
very
octopus,
thorough
firefly
dressing down by my
squid,
bishop,
and
who
aurora
told me
jellyfish.
to
I
take a
did
step back
have a
and leave
firefly
the
squid
exorcisms to Father
before.
Harrogate for a while. Annie almost got suspended over the matter, but in the end was spared further disciplinary action as she had been simply passing on the wishes of the patient. And for a couple of years, that was it. I felt a great deal of guilt over my involvement with Bethany's death, and I started to drink more than I had before. I was never, I think, in danger of becoming an alcoholic, as most of the priests I worked with had done work with substance abusers, not to mention the fact that priests are certainly not immune to alcoholism and would have picked up on the warning signs.
Oops.
But they did express concern over the occasional disappearance
There we
of
go.
bottles of sacramental wine.
This place would have been a nice resort
At the
if
time,
not
I was
for the
sure it was
horrors.
I
Yeah.
preferred Scotch, and the muscatel wine they bought had never really been to my taste. But looking back, I can't really be sure what I was drinking.
You know, I really
I
wish it
noticed
wasn't
something
like
jumped from
storming right
unwittingly
now.
stealing
Just
holy
saying.
wine to my later crimes.
No.
Trying my best
Well, I
to
mean,
get
yeah.
into
Actually,
the
give me
relatively
one
coherent
singular barracuda.
Apart from that, the years passed uneventfully, and I was starting to feel like I'd put the whole affair behind me. Till I got a call from Annie. She said that a gentleman had been admitted to the John Radcliffe after having some sort of scare in a house up on Hilltop Road.
Oh.
I explained to her that I wasn't performing exorcisms at the moment, and said she should
Oh,
call
this is
Father Harrogate.
the account
She
from.
assured me
Okay,
it wouldn't
sorry.
need a full
There was an
exorcism,
earlier
and if I did,
episode
we could bring him in.
that
But she didn't know or trust
covered
Father Harrogate, because
the
wanted
guy
my
that was needing an exorcism
Finally, after a lot of pestering,
that
I agreed to pay
he's
a
talking
visit to
about
the
now.
house. It was late in November, starting to get very cold.
Yes, the Hells of the Night
The
help
whole
me sleep.
affair was
Yeah.
meant to bring back some less than pleasant memories of my arrival at Bullingdon Road all those years ago. I was also a bit annoyed with Annie for not mentioning that the house was
I mean, they are
dark and
definitely
stuffy,
howling.
not only making it unlikely to be
I can hear
demons
them.
or
They are
spirits,
absolutely
but also
howling.
meaning that the coat I had brought along would be somewhat inadequate against the chill in a house without windows. I knocked on the door and one of the builders opened it. I forget his name, I'm afraid. Something Polish, I think. Or maybe Czech. He seemed confused at first as to why I was there, but I explained, and it turned out he was the one that had been treated by Annie at the hospital. She had not mentioned the builder's possible schizophrenia to me, and I began to fear that this may be a waste of time. Still, I had a look around and asked the builder questions about the place. He certainly did have an interesting story, but I was unsure of how much of it I believed. Eventually, I decided that I'd seen enough and there didn't seem to be any malicious presence here. The builder was looking at me in such a way as to make me hesitant to tell him that. So I decided I would at least give the place a quick prayer or blessing. I asked him to wait outside, though. Something in his manner was a bit off-putting, and I felt uncomfortable with him watching me like a hawk, as though I was about to vanish at any moment. He headed into the back garden, and I was alone in the house. I moved into the hallway and began to pray, praying for protection, and sprinkling holy water around from a flask I carry on me in these situations.
Those are birds.
As I spoke the words, I felt something alarming. I was starting
Ask
to
you
grow
a question
very
about your character.
hot,
Which one? Yes,
so
go
the
for
room
it.
was heating up very rapidly. I looked around
Oh
for
boy.
the source of the heat, but the radiators hadn't
Oh
been
boy,
installed yet.
I'm bracing
I
myself.
couldn't see anything else that might have been warming the room. It continued though, and soon I was sweating through my shirt. I began to cough, and I could smell smoke, even though I couldn't see any, or any fire for that matter. I fell to one knee and choked back a scream as I felt my skin began to crackle and burn. I began to pray again for protection, not for the place this time, but for me. As I did, I felt
I just have
something
okay.
answer.
So I actually have outfits in the works
I
right now.
cannot stress this enough. What answered was not.
I just wanted to go ahead and get the base model active.
It wasn't him.
So,
Something else
nope,
answered
he
my
wears
call
clothes.
for protection. I felt my lips move.
Yeah. No worries.
They made no sound that I
Well,
could hear, but
it's
I
the old
felt
model.
them.
Brandy, what have you done?
Syllable.
Brandy, it's the old model. What have you done?
I am. The heat slowed in its increase, but it did not stop. My mouth continued to speak for me when I heard the sound of a car engine outside and a great crash. Instantly the feeling was gone, as though it were never there, and looking out I saw the builder had managed to uproot a tree from the back garden.
Hello, Magic Kitsune.
I sat there for a while, catching my breath. When he came back inside, I told him I had completed the prayers, and excused myself quickly. It was the first time I had experienced. Statement ends. Unfortunately, this statement as it stands is incomplete and stops at this point. It does not appear to be the actual end of the document, so I have hopes that the rest is simply misfiled somewhere else in the archives. If this is the case, I will record and add that part when it is found, either by myself or, given the scale of the archive's mismanagement, by my successor when I pass away from old age.
I have
With this in
snackage.
mind, all but the most
Just a
preliminary of investigation.
I have
and
some
statement are being put
Sour
on
Patch
hold until
Kids
the rest is found.
right over
Most of the
there.
details do appear to be correct and match the
There
statement
they
given by
go.
Mr. Iwo Lensick in 2007. We did find Father
I'm
Burroughs
so
arrested
far
in
away.
Bulgaria, and I am very curious to see how the events recounted here could have led to the
Oh
incident
my
in
God.
2009,
Okay, I'm back.
where he apparently murdered two first-year university students following Sunday Mass, and then peeled off and ate most of their skin. End recording.
There we go. Ow.
The
I need
Magnus
something
Archives
sour.
is a podcast distributed by rustyquill.com and licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike International license.
Anyway.
Today's episode
What am I
was
doing
written
here
and
again?
performed by Jonathan Sims. It was produced by Alexander J. Newell, Mike LeBeau,
I
and
am-
Mary Porter, and directed by Alexander J. Newell. To comment on episodes,
Oh, we're
make
hunting.
donations and view links
Okay.
to videos and show notes, visit rustyquill.com. Rate and review us on iTunes. Visit us on Facebook. Tweet us on Twitter at the Rusty Quill. Or
What are we hunting? And yes, what is your question? Hello, Basswood. From old times. What the fuck? Oh, it's a jellyfish. Okay. Whew. Whew. Okay, so I'm generally safe here. I know this from experience. What is your question, Magic Kitsune?
Rusty.
Hunting fish, you know what, that's fair. We are indeed a fish hunter.
Episode 20. Demonstrated hopes.
Oh,
Continuation of the statement
Something
of Father
over
Edward
there.
Burroughs regarding his claimed demonic possession. Original statement given May 30th, 2011. Audio recording by Jonathan Sims. Head archivist.
is it
for
necessary to
Magnus,
flex while speaking? Yes.
London.
Next question.
Statement continued.
Oh, fuck. Nope, I'm not honking at you, you bitch.
By this point I was starting to suspect that I may have been having hallucinations of some sort, but I had never before felt a presence within myself.
I saw that fog. I know better.
It was a feeling so utterly awful it's hard to put into words. like a reflex reaction. Your muscles move
I mean,
naturally
would
to
you
stop
rather
breathing.
the model be doing absolutely nothing?
It's a slow movement of your jaw,
Because I
your
can do
lips,
that.
forming your mouth into words. Worse things would
I
come,
can
of
just have
course,
the
but
model just be
don't
sitting
think
there
any of
crouched
them
the entire
so
time.
profoundly unsettling. Unsettling. I only got a few streets away from Hilltop Road before I was no longer able to maintain my equilibrium and fell to the floor, violently throwing up. I could not deny then that there was something inside me, and I believed that whatever it was had entered me from Bethany O'Connor. I tried to pray, tried to cast my
This
mind
one's
to
glowing.
I couldn't.
Well, understood.
As I tried, the door closed. I
I.
struggled to breathe.
You're a bitch.
I lay on the side of the page,
Fuck you,
and I wept.
asshole.
Wiping my eyes, I took out my Bible and looked desperately.
That wasn't even scary. That was just fucking mean.
Though the page was within the Gospel of Luke, the words were from Genesis.
Oh.
Behold,
Oh, I see. It's
driven me
broken.
out
Okay.
this day from the
I
face
didn't
of the
realize
earth.
that had broken too.
From thy face shall I be hid. And I
What a
shall be
dick.
fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And it shall come to pass that everyone
Grab
that
wave.
findeth
Yeah.
me shall slay me.
Like. That wasn't even like. Oh my god, I'm so afraid. Oh my god. And I was just like, you fucking asshole. Like. What the hell?
Obscured by dark stains.
Rude?
The bile began to rise within my throat again, and I desperately wanted to hurl the book away from me. I held it, though, for just a moment before I placed the small volume once again in my jacket. It took more willpower than I could have believed. I kept it.
Yeah. See,
I stood up shakily.
Alias can vouch for it. I have a really bad habit of not actually going behind the island.
Unwell. It wasn't a lie, of course.
You're a dick. I'm gonna blow you up.
There seemed a safety in the stillness, as though inaction could do no harm. It was the first good decision I had made, and there isn't
I
a
have
day
no
goes
more
by
bombs.
I don't curse myself for ever rising from that bed. Nobody bothered me. I think word had gotten round that I was having a difficult time, and they were almost certainly trying to decide it would be best to talk to me,
Red
or
snapper.
even whether to ask the bishop to intervene. I decided that I needed to talk to Father Fray. I didn't think that he would be able to help me, but he was at least familiar with Bethany O'Connor's case. Perhaps he might have some insight into what was happening. I tried to find him quickly. The faces on each crucifix and painting I passed seemed to twist and sneer at me as I walked. My head was throbbing.
Mark on your
Blood glistened.
on that for later carnage. Fair. Yeah.
Glad I didn't encounter it.
I do need to
I
go
was
obtain more
staggered so
bombs
much
though.
They would likely have thought I was drunk. Finally, I found Father Singh in a small chapel. He seemed surprised.
Oh, she dances on the wings. Hello,
Alondine
Alondine.
173 just resubscribed for 16 months.
16 months. Zarp tie heart. Zarp tie heart. Zarp tie heart.
Until I began to talk about
Thank
the
you.
exorcism I had
Holy
tried to
shit.
perform on
16 months. Wow.
He held
I
his
think you were the
hand
first subscriber, weren't you?
and asked if I'd prefer to speak about it in confession. I was.
I swear it was either you or Raz was the first one.
He felt I had committed. He looked at me. And I swear there was almost a smile on his face when he spoke. Spiritual pride.
Well, then get out of this soup aisle! All right, you don't have to shout at
led
me!
to quite a fall. Unsettled though I was at his attitude, I could not deny
It's-
that he was right. I agreed, and we left the chapel. Soon I was giving my account of a full confession, and I could not keep from crying. So I described what happened when I attempted to lay a blessing upon that house on Hilltop Road. I finished my account and waited for Father Singh to speak of my penance or absolution. Instead, he paused for a few moments, then said, "No, your sins are deeper than that. he began to list them. Every transgression I had made since I was 6 years old. The disabled child I had bullied in primary school, the time I stole money from my mother's purse to buy cigarettes, the indiscretion I had disseminated. All of them. I had confessed them each before and been absolved, but not to Father Singh. And to hear them thrown back in my face in such a stark list of wickedness left me deeply. I noticed something else as he spoke. Father Singh only emigrated from Jaipur a decade or so before I met him. He had always had quite a strong accent. But the voice that spoke now to read my litany of wrongdoing had no trace of it. It was a clipped and crisp RP accent, though in tone it seemed to match that of my friend.
The air, faint ships, transport, surface.
I leapt to my feet and ran from the
See,
room
I placed my hand on the
door.
stone. Stone does
I
not
needed to
respond.
get
I
out,
can do nothing to stone.
somewhere I could breathe. In the hallway I ran past two other priests who looked more worried than ever. One of them was Father Singh. It was dark when I left the presbytery. I had no idea where I was going or why.
Shush
I
you.
just had the desperate need to be somewhere else. The streets of Oxford should have been full of drunken students at that time on a Sunday night. At least,
Big
I
old
thought
grumpy thing in there. God.
they were.
Like, shut up. What do you... What? Like, you are in a tropical paradise, and you're gonna bitch. Like, shut up.
Silhouetted against what little light there was.
The resort's destroyed. Yeah, you did that.
I
That's
tried
on
once
you.
again to pray, but the words
Like,
died
what
off.
are you for? Shut up.
I've never felt despair on the sheer scale I did at that moment. The streets of Oxford are winding and speak to the age of the place, but I had lived there for no small amount of time and knew them well. That night, though,
Okay.
was though I had never walked them before.
Okay, so I still
I saw roads
need...
that I had
Still
travelled
need
100 times. They
two
seemed
planks.
different.
Do you know
My
how
eyes
easy it is
focusing
for
on
paper
details I
cut to
never
become
before
gangrenous in a
marked.
tropical
And each turn I
paradise?
found I did not
We
know
had
where I was
Betadine
going,
in her medicine
or
cabinet.
what place it would take
Hmm.
me. The world I knew had become alien, and I simply didn't know what to do.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I'm talking about this
I
thing
found myself
in the
front of
middle.
the Orpheum in Stockholm.
This one.
The
This
church's
big
bar
wiggly
round the
motherfucker.
window shifted as I watched,
Like
as
like
though
you
it were a
think,
tremendous eye that
like,
would
buddy,
turn
you're the
impossible.
problem here.
The door was open, and from within, a warm light spilled out. Even in the depths of my, I suppose you could call it mania, there was something comforting.
People
about
learn to
that
coexist with it. I mean, I think it's the one with
He
the
was
problem
full,
this time.
pale, dressed as an altar
I
server.
just have a feeling.
I walked up to him.
I
My
just
vision
have a
was blurred,
feeling.
though I could not tell you whether it was my state of mind at the time or simply that I was crying. I should have known that something was wrong. I did know that something was wrong, but it didn't matter. I had no fight left within me. So when he told me that it was time for mass, I simply nodded and followed. He led me through the church. It was bright. So bright. Candles covered every surface, each glowing so powerfully that I could barely look directly at them. The layout was how I remembered, but the pews were all empty. And I could see none of the statues or crosses that I expected.
Only people
The man led me unresisting into the vestry.
Donald Duck voice
where I
looks like a
found my
crit.
casket
No,
stole laid
no
out.
ingredients.
The stole was not green, as I would have expected for a normal Sunday mass, nor was it violet or
Again,
red
there'll be some
or any other
food.
liturgical
Don't get
colour.
smacked by the oversized octopus. I
It was a
might
pale,
also have some good
sickly
food,
yellow.
alias.
I felt the eyes of the altar server upon my back and dressed quickly. At that moment, the bell rang.
I guess that part doesn't really matter that much there. There we go.
It was a single, jarring tone.
Kid
that
Octopus
cut
as
through the air and
revenge.
made
I
me
mean,
almost
maybe.
double over in pain. So badly did it pierce into my pounding stomach.
I was not aware of a voice actor change, so that is news to me.
Walked out into the church.
That's more of
Queues
that.
were full. Row upon row of people, far more than ever before attended a mass
Barracuda.
Each was dressed in
I
black
can
from head to
obtain
toe,
but
and
a
their skin was
singular
pigmented,
barracuda.
jaundiced yellow.
Oh no. Right
The
there.
eyes of
There we go.
every man, woman, and child
Okay,
stared blankly forward, and their mouths hung open, wide and smiling, but their jaws had locked in silent rigors.
Alright, that's metal.
I could have left.
So it's not that.
I know that now. I know that my will and my actions were my own, and even at the time, I knew that what I was seeing was so wrong. Very wrong.
Oh, that's abyssal. Okay.
It didn't feel like, at the time, I could have made any other choice.
I would like to
Even
obtain
in that
octopus
strange
as
place,
revenge,
stared at my hellish parishioners,
but
I must have known weren't really there.
I am unsure. Oh, right, that thing.
Me.
I must
Even then, I
obtain
thought to find some
thing.
comfort in the mischief. The odd-smelling incense swirled about me from the altar service brazier.
Nope, don't like this. Don't like this
My head
none.
swam with a scent that felt
This makes me deeply uncomfortable.
Finally, I stood before the altar and began the mass.
episode of DuckTales.
I was surprised as I saw
Oh yeah. I remember.
hesitation. But the congregation I addressed were quiet, and each pause for a response was met with only that oppressive, wide-mouthed silence, a jarring void that tightened the fear I felt gripping my soul.
Hello again. What do you need? About those specimens you're after. Take a look at the list of specimens I need. Please drop them off. You might need to experiment with different fishing strategies to collect them all. You are correct. I have none of them.
Before he raised his head,
Is there anything
looked up
else?
as though to speak. But all
Was
that
it-
came from his throat was
No.
the single tolling
I
sound
gave her.
of
I
that
gave her the
bell.
dog, by the way. If that
My
that
head
part wasn't
pulsed with
obvious.
pain. The same thing happened for the second reading, that long, drawn-out chime. Then came the reading of the Gospel.
Oh.
I walked to the pulpit myself and saw the passage indicated was Mark, chapter 9, verses 14 to 19. I began to try and read it, but my voice was gone. And from my own mouth came the sound of that bell. I fell to the floor, but no one moved to help me. Eventually I was able to stand again, and a dull panic began to rise within me as I realized that next came the liturgy of the Eucharist. The thought of these people, these things, taking the body, taking the sacrament of Holy Communion, felt like the direst of blasphemies. I didn't stop.
So I'm pretty
I
sure.
didn't know what else to do, and my mind was swimming with the sound of that bell, the collective horror of all.
Pretty sure this stuff is. I'm gonna have to get like at nighttime.
The altar server brought me the communion wafers and the wine, and I took them. My hands felt strange, clammy as I
Let's
held
kill a
them
little
down
bit of time.
and brought them to the altar and began to
Get some barracuda.
This time my words
Oh, savage barracuda. Let me see. What do you say?
Fewer of the parishioners seemed to be in the pews.
It thrashes about ruinously, jaws snapping and tearing its own flesh apart, a body sundered by ravenous hatred. I see. That one's kind of neat, actually. That one feels more like madness and not just corruption. I like that.
It was strange. The rich cloth curtain that covered that ornate metal box seemed stuck. So I pulled. Eventually it came free. I opened the door and retrieved the host, returning it to the altar. Then
Chicken encyclopedia.
I lifted it to my mouth.
Yeah. I know.
and I ate.
I just.
It did not taste
I like to attempt to figure things out sometimes because I have found the what's it called?
I don't even know where I was.
The
Dingy
come on, brain.
than what it seemed when
The squid. I did find the squid before. But
At least
I'm pretty sure that was like nighttime that I found that. Because the squid, I think the squids only ever come out at night.
perhaps this is the illusion.
So,
My arrest and imprisonment merely a hallucination. But I'm not a man.
and it was like over here somewhere that I had gotten the squid. And that's kind of what makes me think that it's all gonna be nighttime.
Take no action. Ever again. I will not commit
I
the
will
furthest
not
event
do
in my
that.
life, but I sat there until the police came.
But I will
I pled guilty
obtain
to all
some
the
of
charges they
this.
laid before me, and now here I am, doubting everything I see and hear. I do worry about the state of my
Whoops.
soul, of course, but there is little to be done. My old colleagues
I mean,
have
it's
come by
fine.
my
It's
case,
kind of what I wanted anyway.
but it doesn't help.
Gotta brave the night terrors sometimes,
Whatever
yeah.
they may actually be
Well, here's the thing. This place is been relatively safe the entire time I've been here.
Thank you for your time.
Like, genuinely. Okay.
As it
All right.
turns out, the second
Okay,
part of his
all
statement
right.
is simply misfiled in the next fold.
Found
Which
the
was
squid.
useful, although it does beg the question of who was really
That is not the one I needed.
Martin is still absent, but Tim and Sasha both swear they haven't seen it.
I mean, I did get an aberration though, so
Was
I
my
can't
predecessor reading it at some
complain.
point? That seems unlikely given the state of the
I
case.
do
find it
not like
hard
looking
to
out
believe
into the
idea that
abyss.
Robinson actually read any of these files. Still, it's hardly our biggest concern. It's difficult to know where to begin with a statement like this. If the person giving their testimony is unable to distinguish the real and the unreal, that doesn't usually bode well for anyone trying to find evidence. Let us begin with Bethany.
I don't like how close that
From what
mist
Sasha could find in
is.
the records of St. Hugh's College, she was indeed a student there, studying archaeology, matriculating in 2008. Everything Father Burroughs says about her fate, her hospitalization, and her death appears to match up with official records. However, college records
Yep.
also list her as one of
There's
the
the
students living in
red
halls
light.
during her second year, rather than in an off-campus house. And it was a
Okay,
porter who she attacked with a kitchen knife, rather than a housemate. In fact, according to the letting agent, there was no one living at 89 Bullingdon Road that year. So whatever Bethany was doing in that house, it wasn't living there legally. Father Burroughs' old colleagues from the church certainly remember his falling apart following the failed exorcism. They were apparently in the process of talking to the bishop to get him some help when the culminating incident occurred that led to his incarceration. Prior to meeting Bethany,
Fish
none
market
of them
will
had anything but the
sell.
highest praise for the man. As for the incident itself,
Sell that.
Father Burroughs was found in one of the back rooms of 89.
I need one of
Bullingdon Road.
these.
He was wearing a butcher's apron. He sat in front of two students, Christopher Bennett and James Mann.
I do not like how close that mist is. That's what makes me uncomfortable. Like, that's the stuff that makes me not, like, want to do fishing at night. Because I don't...
Possibly a scalpel. The face of James Mann was found to have been partially eaten by Father Burroughs. He pled guilty to all charges brought before him and is currently serving 2 life sentences at Wakefield Prison, though HMPS refused our request for a follow-up interview.
Oops.
What interests me is the paralleling of Father Burroughs' climactic hallucination with reality, and the fact that at no point did he perform any actions that might be analogous with the binding and actual murder of the students. Also, it strikes me
Shouldn't do
that the
fishing
officer
day
he
or
described
night. I mean,
seems
yeah.
out of place with most of his other delusions, in that he appeared to have active agency, which is uncharacteristic for these visions the priest describes.
That's gone.
There is a
Okay.
small detail mentioned in the police report that none of the tools used to kill or mutilate the
Octopus.
victims
I'm pretty
were
sure
found
the
in the
octopus is going to be, like,
This all
exclusively
leads me to
the
believe there may
crab,
have been
the
a
crab
second
pot.
person there that night. Although from talking to the police,
So...
I get the impression that there is little appetite for reopening the
I
case,
don't think I'm just gonna
considering
be
how
able to
successful
scrape
the
one of
initial
those.
prosecution was. There's one other detail Tim uncovered that sticks out to me. It's a name I recognize, though I have
Consume him.
no idea what it is.
I would like to
The
not
RFK
have the
was obviously
horrors
not the actual
consume
scene
me.
of Father Burroughs' crimes, but there was one strange thing
I
that
would
happened a
I
few
would
days
like
prior.
I would like
They
that.
received a delivery of a pale yellow stole, which apparently vanished less than a day after they signed for it. This would be unusual, but not necessarily noteworthy. If it wasn't for the fact that one of the deacons who brought the
Oh, you're
package
my
was
favorite.
handed to them by a
Hello, my
company
favorite.
called
Hi.
Beacon and Hope Deliveries.
I wish that thing would stop fucking growling 24/7.
The Magnus
This is
Archives
Red
is a
Snapper.
podcast distributed
Yeah,
by
that's Red Snapper.
rustyquill.com and licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike International license. Today's episode was written and performed by Jonathan Sims. It was produced by Alexander J. Newell, Mike LeBeau, and Murray Porter, and directed by Alexander J. Newell. To comment on episodes, make donations, and view links, images, videos,
There we
and
go.
show notes, visit rustyquill.com. Rate and review us on iTunes, visit us on Facebook, tweet us on Twitter at The Rusty Quill, or email us at mail@rustyquill.com.
Pardon?
Thanks for listening.
Pardon? That was the sound of, like, monster has spotted you. I do not like that. I do not like that at all, Sam. I am. Yeah, take one of these.
Rusty Quill presents The
Okay,
Magnus
I sip.
Archives.
Hello, Goro.
Episode 21. Freefall.
Yep, proper sips. I took sippies.
Statement of Moira Kelly regarding the disappearance of her son, Robert. Original statement given October 20th, 2002. Audio recording by Jonathan Sims, head archivist of the Magnus, London. Statement
Alright.
begins.
We
You
sell.
must forgive me if it takes a while to get this all down on paper. I'm not a fast writer, and what I saw is... It's all very well to say, write down what you saw, but what if you don't have the words? What I saw doesn't make any sense, and it makes my head hurt awfully when I try to remember it well enough to describe.
Hooray.
Oh, I'm mad? What
And then
happened?
grab that. Yay. And now I've got all of this
It took my Robert.
garbage.
Now I can't even
Alright.
think of how to put it down in a way that explains it. Maybe somewhere in your library are the words that explain what happened, what I saw, but I haven't read
Okay.
your books.
I still did not
No, I
find
couldn't bring it
the
I suppose I'll just have to
what's
try.
it, the photographer lady.
My son, Robert, was always
So-
an adventurous boy. Even when he was a child, he'd be
I'll
running
know
off
where
and getting
she's
into
at.
scrapes every chance he got. We were living out in the country back then. Awful.
What is
Little village in
this?
Lincolnshire.
Hello?
Every chance
Hi.
Robert
Okay,
would be
maybe
out in
this
the woods with his
isn't.
friends, climbing trees, exploring deep into the forests.
Those are
He
kind.
had
That's
a few
kind of
other
funky
children
looking.
join him, but
I mean,
always
it's an
climbed
octopus,
higher
but
than
like
they
it's
did.
kind of neat.
Always pushed further. I can't even remember all the times he almost got himself lost out there when he was growing up.
I like how they
As he
wiggle.
got older, his interests changed.
Best qualities,
That
their
danger
wiggles.
never left him. I used
I'm gonna
to
grab a
drive him
handful of
half an
these,
hour every
'cause
Wednesday
they're
because
kinda
that was the
neat.
closest leisure centre with a
I
climbing
just
wall.
think they're
He
neat.
was obsessed with reaching the top. After he went away to university, he'd come home every holiday with some new dangerous sport he'd taken up: wakeboarding, mountain biking. He almost missed his father's funeral because he was away on a scuba diving trip to Cyprus, and only just managed to book a last-minute flight home. It wasn't his fault, of course. Stephen's death came as a shock to us all. What I need to say is, I wasn't at all surprised when he told me a few years ago that he'd gotten very involved in skydiving. It had started as a charity thing.
Okay,
Last year
so
at the
I've got...
to do a skydive for a charity he'd been volunteering with.
Got...
I went along to support him.
Here, I got this way.
When he touched down,
I don't like that it's raining
even
this
before he
night.
moved his
It makes
parachute,
me deeply
he was in
uncomfortable.
love. Since then, it was rare that a month went by without him throwing himself out of a plane, at the point where I wondered where he was getting the money, because from what I hear, it's not a cheap hobby, and he certainly wasn't getting much from me. Shortly after Robert graduated, he came to visit. He was the happiest
I
I'd
have
seen
gotten
since his father
significantly
passed
more
away. When I
paranoid
asked
all
him
of a
about it,
sudden,
he
and
got a job
I
with
do
a
not
company
like
that ran
that.
skydiving all over the country. They were called
It was like the
Open
moment I
Skydiving.
left the
His face
circle,
was beaming when he said this.
the
He was now a
eye
fully qualified
started going
skydiving
frantic,
instructor.
and I don't like that. I
was
just...
happy for him, of course, even though every time he described
Hey,
jumping,
fuck
it
you.
sounded quite dreadful to me. I had always made it clear that he was never going to get me up there, plummeting through the sky.
Alright, I guess I rest.
He was home for Christmas and Mother's Day, if I was lucky. But aside from that, it was the occasional phone call or even a postcard if he was running a dive at somewhere far away. I have a small stack of them back home. All I really have to remember him by. I remember he sent me one at Aberystwyth, of all places, not too far back.
Making all kinds of weird
Inside it,
noises.
with love, your free-falling sun. I used to
Hello?
really like that. But now the phrase just makes me
Waves
shudder.
lap at the flotsam collecting on the beach.
was
Nestled
happy.
in the center is a
He was
wooden
doing what he
chest.
loved.
Look inside.
I tried to hold on to that.
I don't like...
There was no way to
Leave me
that
alone.
anything was wrong. I mean,
I don't
nothing
want a
was
treasure
wrong.
map, because that always ends up resulting in, like, a whole bunch of other garbage. And I just want to fish, man.
I was surprised. You see, June is
I
the
just want to
height of
fish and
season.
have to deal with
Last
maybe
phone
the
call
occasional,
seemed to say that
like,
he was
eldritch
expecting
horror,
busy
but,
right
like...
until winter arrived. Still, here he was, standing on the doorstep. He looked to be in an awful state. He had deep bags under his eyes, and it didn't look as though he'd washed in some time. Before he'd said anything, I took him inside, sat him down, and started to run a hot bath. Whatever had happened, I told him, could wait until he'd gotten himself together. I think I had the right of it, as once he had cleaned himself up and had some hot food, he seemed a lot more himself than happy. Still, he spent a good 10 minutes just sat there, staring into space. I asked him what the matter was, whether he'd had an accident or lost his job or something. When I said that, he laughed, an odd sort of laugh, and said that he had lost his job. He'd quit, he said. I asked him why. After all, he had always loved the whole business of skydiving, but as I said the word sky, I saw him flinch back, like I had slapped him. So I quieted down and asked him to tell me what had happened. They'd been running a dive up near Doncaster, he said. Some 85-year-old doing a tandem jump for charity in memory of his wife. He hadn't been the one actually doing the jump with the old man, but it was a significant enough thing that his colleague had asked him to come up as well for support. He'd been coming down alone on a solo parachute.
Nope.
It all
Don't
started well enough. The flight up was fine, and the old man, who said his name was
We
Simon,
zooming.
appeared to be having a great time, making jokes and, quite frankly, a lot more eager to throw himself out of a plane than almost anyone Robert had ever met before. Finally, the climb finished. The door was opened for the rush of air. Harriet Fairchild, the instructor, readied herself to jump with Simon strapped to her chest. It was at this moment, Robert said, that the old man turned to him, shouting something. He didn't hear it clearly, but thought it had been, "Enjoy sky blue." He had felt dizzy all of a sudden, almost falling to the floor as Harriet hurled herself and her passenger out of the plane. It passed in a moment, though, and he pushed himself out of the door and was greeted by that familiar plunging feeling in his stomach as he began his free fall. He knew something was wrong almost immediately. He was jumping, he said, from about 10,000 feet, so should have been falling for almost 30 seconds before opening his parachute. He was having trouble keeping count. The clear blue sky was so bright it seemed to blind him, and the numbers were all jumbled in his head. His balance seemed to be all turned around, and he said he had had to shut his eyes tight against the brightness, concentrating to keep his count. Finally, he reached what he thought was 30 seconds, and went to pull his ripcord. But as he did, he said, he opened his eyes again and froze. The ground was gone. I asked him what he meant. Had he got turned around, maybe? He just shook his head and told me again that the ground had gone. All that there was, he said, was that vast, empty blue sky stretching off before him. But still he was falling into it. It was bright, he kept saying.
Nope.
It was so bright. Though there was no sun in that sky, and no clouds for it to hide behind. Just the empty blue sky in all directions as he fell into it. He wanted to pull the ripcord to unfurl his parachute, but his hand wouldn't close over the grip.
There we go.
So he just fell. Robert was shaking badly at this point, so I got him a blanket and made him another cup of tea. I wasn't sure I believed all what he was saying, but he'd certainly been through something dreadful, I could see that.
Aberration.
I asked him how long he'd been falling like that. He said he didn't know. His watch had stopped, but it had felt like hours, days even. He had been so hungry.
Yay! Ooh, blood snapper.
But had just kept falling.
Icky.
He didn't know which direction.
It is full of goop.
It was just that empty sky all around, so it was impossible to tell.
And sorry, for a little bit there, I was just listening to the story.
He
Like,
saw the ground again. It didn't feel like a change or a sudden difference. He just closed his eyes, as he had so often in that place. And when he opened them, it was there, green and sprawling and rushing up towards him. He'd been so relieved he'd almost forgotten to deploy his parachute. He did, though, landed safely near the target area. He was greeted by Harriet, who was surprised by how long it had taken him to get down. She told him it was almost 15 minutes after when he should have hit the ground, and Simon, the old man, and his supporters had already left. It was obvious something was wrong, and Harriet asked Robert if he was all right. He repeated
yes.
15 minutes, just 15, and she told him yes. What had been the problem? Robert quit right there and then. And it was shortly after that he came
Question mark.
Now, obviously, I was a bit speechless at my son's
Okay.
tale.
Now,
To say how much it had done.
I understand
I didn't think he would
what they're
ever
going
invite
for.
me
He was
back
like,
to
oh,
this, but
check out the Stellar
at the same
Basin.
time, the sort of thing he described,
Back
well,
from food. How many times has Zarb
I don't
crashed?
think it sounded like something
None.
from a healthy mind. Let's just
But
say
no,
I was
like,
thinking the sort of
I
thing
understand that it's like, oh, you're going teehee, you should check out all of this wreckage. You should check this out. A teehee,
the more he talked
and
about
then
it,
you
the
like
more difficult
die
it became,
because of that thing.
until at last I decided that we weren't getting it,
But like,
and I got his old room ready for him.
I don't, do I have to die to it?
The next
Like,
morning was a beautiful day. The sun was streaming through the window, and the air was warm and
'cause
still, without it
he's
being
got
hot
the
and
X
humid.
in the middle of the fucking,
When Robert finally woke up,
in the middle of the circle,
he
which
went for a
clearly,
short walk to
like,
enjoy the day, and hopefully clear out any of that fear he felt
I
that was
can't
still
do.
hovering about. He didn't seem to want to
okay,
know.
yes, please,
Kept
please
gone
answer,
in the
yes, please,
cloudless
thank you.
sky. But I promised him a picnic lunch. and
Am
that
I
seemed
safe am I safe to grab from here?
That last hour was one of
I
the
don't appear
happiest
to
I'd
be.
ever
It
spent
seems
with
to, it's angry, it's angry!
In the sunlight, the bags under his eyes seemed to disappear, and after a few minutes, he even stopped glancing at the sky all the time. We walked along, sometimes talking, sometimes silent, and the world seemed to be all right. There's a hill near where I live. It's a gentle, grassy slope, but goes up quite high. You can see it from the kitchen window of my house. That's one of the reasons I'm moving. It
I'm
was that
trying
hill
to-
we were climbing when it happened. We had just reached the top, and Robert turned to me.
I can't get that
with a
anyway.
sudden look of utter
Okay.
terror on his face. I asked him what was wrong. He just screamed and pushed me away. I
Scientist
fell
gives you
hard onto the
items that
ground
makes
and
it
could do
less
nothing
angry,
but
tells it
watch
to
as my
shut the
son
fuck up.
ran
Finish
off down the
scientist
hill.
quest for items. Okay.
And then, This is the part I can't put into words.
Okay, then let me check my
I'm going to try,
encyclopedia.
but whatever you think of
Encyclopedia.
when you read this is not going to be what happened. It will just be the closest I can describe before thinking about it too much gives me a
This
migraine.
one. It's nighttime,
Closest I can say is this.
and it's with the troll. Son of a bitch!
Ate him. He didn't fall or fly or take off. There wasn't anything in the sky that took him. It wasn't a hand that reached out and grabbed him. It was the sky itself, the whole sky, as far as the horizon I could see, that twisted around and moved like the shifting of sand. It ate Robert. It's the only way I can describe it. Please don't make me do so again. Statement ends. Before I address the central point of this statement, namely the question of whether the sky can eat people, there are a few other facts that need to be addressed.
I need that
Firstly,
extra
the company
slot.
that Miss Kelly states Robert worked for, Open Skydiving, does not exist. And as far as Sasha's research can determine,
Okay, both of those
never
are
has.
coastal. Okay,
It appears in no
so
company register and has no entities within
I guess
any
I
of the
will
bodies
put
that deal with
this
the immense
here
number of
then.
licenses the skydiving business
I
would
wanna. I
There
guess I'll
were
put
one
this
or
into
two
storage
news articles from late
then.
2000 that reference events by Open Skydiving, or sometimes the Open Skydiving School. But whatever they were,
Yeah,
they were
'cause
not
I don't have
officially
enough to
licensed
put-
business. So either they were lying to Robert Kelly, or he was lying to his mother. Not a lot of detail was given about the skydive where Robert Kelly claims to have been transported to an endless sky blue nothing. But Tim really outdid himself here, and after spending almost a day
So I
combing through
need
accident
the
incident reports for the
versatile
Doncaster
one,
area
but
in
I gotta
2002,
finish researching that
found
first,
one that seems relevant.
because that's in here.
On the
That's
3rd
this
of June,
one.
2002, Joseph Puse reported hearing an impact in the field adjoining his house. Upon investigation, he found a parachute had hit the ground at high speed, partially burying itself in the earth. There was no sign of any body or anyone who might have been wearing
Yeah.
it, nor did it have any logo or label.
Coastal
And
Shallow
in Tim's
Mangrove.
follow-up interview, Mr. Puse vehemently denied there being any planes or
I
skydiving
hydrate. Okay.
taking place anywhere near his property. The parachute was unopened. According to police reports, Ms. Kelly attempted to report Robert missing on 7th of June, but it proved difficult due to an absence of any information on friends or residences. In fact, for the 4 years prior, it's hard to find any evidence for Robert Kelly's existence at all. It may just be that
Alright.
he moved around a lot.
I guess I
but it feels
just
like
kind of
more
putz
than
around.
Ms. Kelly declined our request for a follow-up interview.
Yay,
saying she
I
had
got
no
it.
desire to revisit the
Hooray! I did the
One other
thing.
thing, if Miss Kelly's recollections are correct regarding how
Now I
Robert
just
described
have to
his life
somehow
skydiving,
manage to make it over to
Harriet
the
Fairchild was an
researcher.
instructor and an old man named Simon. It might just be a coincidence, but I recall the name Simon Fairchild was one of the ones used by... God, Martin, what the hell is... What are these things?
The Magnus Archives is a podcast distributed by rustyquill.com and licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike International
Ugh.
license.
Go
Today's
away.
episode was written and performed by Jonathan Sims. It was produced by Alexander J. Newell, Mike LeBeau, and Murray Porter.
Oh wait,
and
no, I do
directed
kind of
by
need that down
Alexander J.
actually.
Newell. To comment on episodes, make donations and view links, images, videos, and show notes, visit rustyquill.com. Rate and review us
So-
on iTunes, visit us on Facebook, tweet us on Twitter
So
at
can I-
@rustyquill, or
Okay, so
email
is
us at mail
a legitimate question.
rustyquill.com.
Is that like actually dangerous, or is that just like, oh ho ho, you're getting spooked? Because like I've been treating those like patches of fog as like actual obstacles. The white smoke, well, okay. Because, like, they are right in
Rusty
front
Quill
of the
presents
fucking research
the
lab.
Limitless Archives.
And I just want to get there. Like, it's a straight shot
Episode
right
22.
there, but the fucking smoke is right there. Full speed ahead, toot toot. I don't like that. I don't like that response. I especially don't like that it turns red when you have your lights on. I know, but like, okay. You know what? Alright, you know what? You know what? Fuck it, we're going.
Mark, are you sure about this?
I just want to make a statement about what happened to me. I mean, it's what we do.
Okay, so it just causes more panic then. Which can, of course, induce eldritch horror things, of course, but like running through the thing itself doesn't cause
That is beside the point.
If you're
like
that
the
worried about it,
right.
it doesn't need to be an official.
I didn't want to linger around, but like that's what I was noticing is like driving through it
Statement of
is
Mark
not
Black.
necessarily an attack, but it does like
To London.
increase your panic
A close
gauge.
encounter with something I believe to have once been Jane Prentice.
Recording
Am I
correct.
understanding that
Subject,
correctly?
12th March 2016. Statement begins.
Okay.
Well, a couple of weeks ago, you were looking into that statement about the spider that wouldn't go away. Carlos Vittori, I think his name was. I knew there was something not right about the whole thing from the off.
Smoke
Said it
won't do
probably
anything.
wasn't
Okay.
natural, him dying and being encased in web when he was found, and
Okay.
I stand by that.
So the smoke
So it
increases your
wasn't
panic
anything to
gauge.
do with spiders
Your
that
panic
still
gauge
happen.
maxing out is what
I wish
causes
it had been.
other
I
problems.
like spiders, big ones at least. You know the ones that you can see some fur on. I actually
Got
think
all
they're sort
the
of
surface
cute, but-
specimens I
Stick to the
need.
Statement, Martin.
Right.
I speed
So,
through it every
you
time I
asked me
see
to
it.
investigate
You
that
are also a
flat
far
that
braver
lived
person than
down
I am.
Grimsby Road, and that's what I do. I take
And
the Northern
yes,
Line up to Archway
I do
and
also
walk the
need
rest
some
of the way
from
down.
deeper down, but that's going to be a
It's still
problem.
quite early then, and I find the building.
I don't have the
enough.
equipment to
Looks
catch
just
anything
like
deeper
Mr.
anyway.
Vittori said it
I
did in the
developed a
statement.
device to
And
retrieve
there's a big
samples from
thick
the
door on
abyssal
front
zone.
and looks like it
This
leads
was
into the hall
over.
and then to the flat.
This was over in the other
Obviously, it's
research
locked,
post
so I'm
before
trying to
the
buzz it.
attack. I have an
Nobody's
idea how to
answering,
keep
and I
the
figure that
creature at
probably
bay
will have
long
to work.
enough to collect these
I didn't want
samples.
to come back to
But while I
you
work on
without
that,
due diligence,
I need
so
you
I've
to
learned that
retrieve some
lesson.
prototype parts.
So I have a look around the
Carefully.
place to see if there's
I
another
suggest
way
you
I
go
can
during the
in,
day. I
have a
wouldn't want.
poke
I
around.
wouldn't want to be out
Sure
on
enough,
the
as I
reef
walk
at
around,
night.
I spy a basement window that's slightly ajar. It isn't
I
much,
mean,
but
I
can
agree, and I'm
squeeze through it
going
if I
to
try.
do that. But also, the
As I
reef
get
at night is not
closer,
that
though, I
fucking
notice
difficult.
there's something on the ground nearby.
Unless I've,
Sunlight
like,
catches on it, and at first
just
I think
completely
it's
managed
through
to
one of little
avoid
pieces
the
of metal
actual
that's
problem
away.
every fucking
I get
time
closer,
somehow.
and I see that
The
it's
reef
more
at
like
night
a
is
worm
not a
of
problem.
some sort, maybe an inch long with a silver segmented body that goes black at one end. Almost
The
like
reef in
it's
general is not a problem.
still, so I kneel down to have a look.
Again, unless I have
Closer,
somehow managed to completely avoid even the slightest hint
Dark
of.
head
Oh,
twists
hey, look at
towards me,
that.
and it starts to writhe in this kind of
Dunham's quietly
eerie
sending ripples
way,
through the air
moving
around
along
it.
the
Okay,
ground very
can't
fast,
can't do
straight
shit with that.
Well, to be honest, I freaked
Well,
out a bit. I
Also,
leapt
you
to my
got the
feet and
jellyfish
stamped
so
on it
fast I
before
said
had
3
a
nights in a
chance to
row.
think about what I
Falling
was
for
doing.
jellyfish.
Felt it pop
Yeah, like I got the fucking
my shoe,
jellyfish
faint
instantly,
cracking sound like stepping on an eggshell.
which is
Thick
insane
black
to me.
slime started to ooze from where I stepped on it. Now, obviously I was pretty disgusted by the whole thing, so I take a moment to scrape off what's left of it and check around for any more. There's none that I can see, so after composing myself for a couple of seconds, I continue on my way into the basement. The window was small, quite a tight squeeze for me, I mean. I'm not exactly the smallest guy in the world, I know, and it's only once I'm inside that I realise it's only
Prototype
ground level for the
part.
outside, so I take a bit of a tumble onto the basement floor.
So the prototype parts on
Luckily I
board.
get away without
Where do you
hurting
want to
myself,
look?
and
Nowhere.
start to
I'm
have a quick
done.
look around the room.
Done.
It's pretty big, and it looks like it
To
goes
figure
into
out how to
pretty
get the
much the whole
jellyfish, I
building.
got it quick.
But
Yeah,
the light
like
from the window doesn't get very far inside. So
that was
it's
about to
very
look.
dark.
Here's the thing. I've been
And I
actively
realised that I have a
trying
torch with me, and I can't
to
see
upgrade
any
my
light
ship
from
enough so that I
outside my
wouldn't have
walls,
to
but I have no real way
sacrifice
of looking
the
around.
oceanic
I almost
fishing
decided to turn around and try to find out back the way I
in order
came.
to install the net.
Because the place had a really bad feeling to it. Like there was this musty
But
smell.
so it's
And
like
the air
I've been
was
wanting
dusty.
to install the net. I just
Also,
haven't.
you're going
What
to
the
think I'm an
fuck
idiot
is
when I say
that?
this, but I didn't like the way
No, I don't like that. What is
shadow
that?
moved. The light from the window behind me cast it pretty clearly on the floor.
I don't
and
like
looking at it,
that.
I swear, the edges seemed to move. It was like an undulation, like they were being shifted by something.
Do you
I mean,
have the prototype parts you asked for?
look, I
Excellent.
know
Let
you
me
hate
assemble
the
a device
word,
for
but it
you.
was
This should allow you
really
to catch specimens from much greater
spooky.
depths. It's a little slow,
Look,
but you may be
anyway,
able to make
that
some
was when I
improvements.
saw the bottom
Okay.
of the stairs leading up, and I didn't waste any time
Well, I'll
heading up
put
them.
this right here
The door at
then.
the top wasn't locked, so I find myself in the ground floor hall of the building.
Now, I
And
developed
I'll
a
admit, it was a
propulsion
real
machine
relief
that
to get
produces
out
a
of that place
bright
and into
light
the well-lit
and
main
emits a
building.
high-pitched noise. It
I
should
could have
deter
left
the
at that
creature
point.
from attacking.
Probably should
Or
have,
enrage
but
it. I'm not
I
sure.
decided to try one more time
Connect it
see
to the
if I could
research
talk
outpost
to the current
generator.
occupant
You'll
of
have
Mr. Vittery's
to
old flat.
to
Due diligence.
return and re-engage
All
it every few hours.
I
Other
head
than
up
that, it's
to number
completely
4 and
automated.
give a few knocks on the door.
Okay.
I didn't expect anyone to be in, but the door's opened by an old woman in a headscarf.
I'll take a look at
I
these
tried to
specimens.
ask her
Remember,
some
you'll want to
questions,
install and
but
activate the
it
machine
became
before
clear she
attempting to
didn't really
collect these.
speak much in the way
You
of
might
English.
also
After a few seconds,
need
she just
to
shook her head
improve
and
that
pointed
equipment I
behind
gave
me,
you to
closing
catch
the
some
door
of these.
unceremoniously.
I see.
Turning around, I could see a large,
Okay.
dark-skinned man in a very nice-looking suit eyeing
Look like
me
a whale
with bits of
shark. Is
suspicion.
oh, okay.
He introduced himself
take
as
your word
Yasir
for it.
Kundi and said he owned the building, and became slightly more cooperative after I lied to him and told him that one of the upstairs residents had buzzed me in. I told him
To
why I was there,
storage.
although obviously I didn't mention breaking in or the institute or what we do, because I find people often don't understand or respect that out in the real world. I just said that following Mr. Vittery's death, I was looking into some aspects of his history, and did he remember anything about the time he was a tenant? Mr. Kundi was about as helpful as you might expect. Told me Carlos Vittery had lived there, seemed weird, always shut himself up, but was never a problem, paid his rent on time. He used to have a cat, but it now lived with the Sanderson couple in number 2. He seemed genuinely surprised to hear about the death, but wasn't able to shed any sort of light on it. It wasn't a lot, really. Still about as much as I might have expected, so I headed back to the institute and updated you on what I'd found. And, well, as I'm sure you're aware, that was the last time I saw you before I disappeared. I was heading home when I got to thinking, and I was worried
It's
I hadn't
dark.
really done enough investigation for you, since I got so freaked out by the basement and all. And then I remembered that I'd seen quite a lot of spider webs in the brief time I was down there, and maybe I should check it out again. I mean, like I said, I'm not really afraid of spiders, so I went back for another look. It was dark when I got to Boothby Road, but I saw that the basement window was still open. I'd made sure to bring a torch this time, and
Oh, yay.
after a quick check to make sure nobody was watching, I climbed inside. I knew right
Give me
then
an abyssal, or not an abyssal, a aberrant. I want an aberrant.
the air
Yeah.
just as musty as it had been before, but it seemed warmer than it had been, which was strange, because outside it was a cold February night. I turned on my torch and shone it around, but was disappointed to see that all those spider webs that I remembered seemed old and unremarkable. If there were spiders there, none were easily seen, and for a second I thought that the only interesting part of my return trip was that it would land me in prison if I wasn't careful. Then I
Mind me, just gonna put my way across. Don't like that.
on the other side of the basement. It was faint, just a rustling, really. I didn't want to check it out, I really didn't. I've catalogued and looked into enough of these cases to know that following the noise is always a really, really
Okay.
bad idea. But, I mean, it's my job, isn't it? So I
This is the outpost
slowly
generator.
moved towards it, keeping my
There you
torch
go.
held in front of me.
So object rolls out from under the generator covered in dried
Steam was so
salt.
much weaker
Good,
than
I need
thought
that.
it was. It only
Activate
lit up
the
the
machine?
stark outline
Not
of
right
the
now.
shelves and the detritus that littered
I'm gonna
the
get some
basement.
sleep first.
I moved to
Because
the
something
At least I
caused my
couldn't hear
ship
it
to
anymore.
shake
I'd
in the
almost
middle of the
thought my mum
fucking
would just turn
night.
around and leave when my torch fell across
Connected
what
to the
looked
generator.
like a
Activate the machine. Yes.
figure.
Bright light shoots from the top, and an alarm begins whirring. The researcher said this should keep the creature at bay for a time at least.
She was facing away from
Alright.
me, apparently staring at the corner of the wall. Her hair was long and black, though it was so twisted and dirty it was hard to tell if that was its original colour. She wore a
It's
threadbare
Angie.
grey overcoat, though beneath it her legs were
Hadal.
bare.
Okay, so that's a different, and it's storming. Okay, no, that's actually really good though. I want to see how long it lasts.
She stood there.
I want to see how much time I've got here. I just ran into something. It's fine. I want to get a good idea before I go trap myself in the middle of that. Red Jelly did it. Oh, okay.
Sound like a cough. It was more like,
Okay.
you know, in
So
nature,
something
when
to keep an eye on, but not
lions
something
caught
to be like scared of.
ripping it apart. That noise of wet meat.
So far, 3.5 hours.
Drop from the handkerchief onto the floor. That inch
4
long,
hours.
wriggled as it fell. I screamed. I'm not ashamed to admit it, though looking back, I really wish I had.
I want to see how long it lasts.
The pupils seemed ragged and collapsed, and when she smiled, her teeth were chipped and blackened. I started to stagger backwards, expecting at any moment for her to lunge at me, but instead she slowly reached up and let the overcoat fall to the floor. Her skin was pale, almost grey and full of something that still makes me sick. Think about
Bonk! No!
it. It was full of holes,
I bonked too hard.
black holes, just
Oh
behind her,
no!
every bit of flesh.
I'm a dingus.
Wasp's nest. I could see those
I Tokyo
silver
drifted too
worms
close to the
crawling
sun.
out, their black tips twitching as they squirmed through that pitted. I mean, it wasn't human. It can't have been.
Okay, well so far it seems like it's basically going to last like the entire day.
And
Which
it
is
did,
good.
the worms
I like
began
that.
to rise out of every hole and cavity,
That means
following
like
the
I don't
broad,
have to
shading wave and
I don't have to
crawl
necessarily like
with
rush
long
to do it. 'Cause she was like, "Oh, it'll only last a few hours." Well, it's like, well, I mean, this is
And even as I backed away towards the stairs,
definitely more than a few hours.
found out. The daft thing is, I wasn't even going to call anyone for help. I just wanted to
This
take
is
a picture of
several.
the thing, to prove to you that it
Several
happened.
hours.
You're always so quick to dismiss these statements, and I wanted proof for you.
Okay.
Well, I managed
Up
to
there
get
it goes.
Of course. Just as I was bringing
There
up
it
the
goes.
camera out,
Okay,
one of
no,
the
that's good, that's
worm
good.
things reached at me and leapt at my face.
So yeah, it lasts
That
like
thing
an
jumped
entire
literally
day.
6
Half a day.
feet
Yeah,
through
yeah,
the
yeah.
air at my face.
12 hours.
It missed me, but I was so
So,
taken
that's
aback
good.
that I fell onto
That's
the
good to
stairs
know.
behind me and dropped my phone to the ground. I didn't stop to pick it up. I just fled up the stairs as fast as I could. Obviously, the door at the top wasn't locked. If it had been,
Ooh,
I'm sure I'd be dead.
that completely caught me off guard.
Worse. I ran faster than I ever have in my life. I've never been good at running. And every
See,
moment
I
I
kind
expected
of
to feel
wonder what the
wriggle off my leg. I didn't stop running until I was sat
what's
in
it
the
called?
underground and had checked every inch of my seat.
What the
for
the
worms.
horror
I live in Stockwell, right
for
at the other
this
end of the
section
North, so by
is,
the time I got
like,
home, I was starting to feel a bit safer,
obviously there's the thing in the middle,
though
but
utterly
like
exhausted.
I
And
kind
there was no
of
way
want to
I could
know
be
what it
able to work the next
is
day.
if I go like
My phone
crazy.
let me know. I mean, I don't have a landline. Who does?
I'm annoyed
anymore?
now. How'd you get the aberrant form that
Bring
quickly?
myself
I
to
didn't
stay
think
awake
I
until
could.
7
I
a.m.
thought
when I
that
collapsed, fully clothed
the
onto
troll
bed.
only got normal versions. I didn't think that it got
How
the
long I slept,
aberrants.
but it was still dark when knocking woke me up. I don't know if it was the same night or if I'd slept
I
the
only
night
have
before.
3 hit
Either way, I
points.
dragged myself up, and as I sat
Hello.
there, It all came
Limey
back.
and Kiba at the same
seen it,
fucking time? Wow.
I tried to tell myself I'd imagined it. Maybe I'd overreacted to finding a homeless woman sleeping in the basement. Maybe she was sick.
I think this was
needed
one
an
of
ambulance.
them, but...
God, maybe I'd left her to die.
So that,
There was
that,
more
that,
knocking. Reached up to flick the light
that,
on,
that.
but when I did, so nothing happened. I tried the lamp next to my bed, but again,
Yard.
nothing. Looking around, I saw the
Yes,
my electronics
hello,
seat
welcome
go on.
in.
Must have been some sort of power cut. Again, someone knocked at the door.
I was stuck in
My neighbours
Kiba's name
coming
when
to
they
check
walked
whether
in.
I'd
You
lost
couldn't-
power.
I could see that. You got lured in by the whiskers again, didn't you? You got angler fished.
As I was about to open it, I got a sudden chill and stopped. What if she was outside, waiting? I mean, the worms that made a hive of her body, eager, striving to make me one as well. I thought of that awful cage you had us looking
Poor
into, where that
dogfish.
woman burst into worms, and I realised that this woman must be that Jane Prentice you were telling us about. I never had
Alright.
one of those peepholes added, so I couldn't see what was out there.
Alright,
But as I took a step back,
I'm gonna be
I saw
brave.
something on the floor,
I'm gonna be brave.
crawling out from underneath
I'm
the
a
door.
little lost. Okay, there we go.
Silver-looking worm.
I'm gonna be brave.
I think I might have lost my mind a bit.
I'm a dingus. I need to
old
sell the fish in my
very
net.
Strange, blurry. I remember stamping and stamping as more made their way under my doorway. I remember grabbing every towel, sock, bit of fabric, scrap that I could find, stuffing them under the door, into the cracks around the window, anything where a slender worm might crawl, I made airtight. And then I sat
Look at
down
all of them. Wow. That's very cheap.
and I
Never
still had
mind.
No power, no phone, no way to communicate
Alright.
with the outside. This went on.
Those don't sell for much.
Day.
Or have I just like
Every
flooded the
time
market
I thought it might be
accidentally?
safe to try and leave, I'd hear that knocking at my door come back. Luckily, there was no problem with my water supply, so I had plenty to drink. I'm just glad none of them thought to
Pardon
come
you?
with pipes. I eat a lot of ready meals, canned, that kind of thing, so I
Bling.
had food. Although after the first few days, I had
Fuck
to start
you.
rationing. If
I don't
ever
like that.
see
Don't whisper at me,
another
you freak.
of the peaches,
I don't know you like that.
but I think the worst part was the boredom.
Hello
No
again.
internet, no phone,
Specimen.
no power.
I've got no. It sold my. Oh, it sold the. Oh, it sold it
I
all.
didn't really
I'm dumb.
sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I'd start to feel
I
something.
thought it would only sell all of the
My
ones
legs,
in the
and I had to
net,
sit down.
not all
Other
of
times I'd
them.
be awoken by that knocking. I spent a lot of time trying to remember what you told me about Jane Prentice.
Well,
and
why
what
would
you
I
wrote
assume
in
that it's gonna
Jane
sell
Prentice's statement.
all of the fish
All
from
I remembered was that she
every
called
single
herself
menu
the practicing witch.
when I've got my
and
net
believed to
open?
be infected by a dangerous, unknown
Back
parasite.
into the fray, yeah.
She never talked to me. I could have heard her clearly through the door, but she never made a sound apart from that knocking. From what I saw, what was in her throat didn't leave room
Okay.
for a voice. Strangely, she never tried to break down my door.
I'm just gonna rest because I have already apparently gone fucking crazy.
Knocked and knocked and knocked. Finally, I woke up this morning and she was gone. I don't know exactly how I knew. I think she brought that musty smell with her, and this morning I couldn't smell it. And there was no knocking. I mean, it still took me about 4
Alright.
hours of checking and double checking and listening at the letterbox before I got the nerve to actually open the door. But when I did, there was no one there. And I ran all the way here.
Hooray.
Statement ends. You're sure about all of this, Martin?
I'm not going to lie to you about something like this, John. I like my job. Most of the time.
Very well. In which case, there's a room in the archives I use to sleep when working. I suggest you stay there for now. I'll talk to Elias about whether we can get extra security, but the archives have enough locks for now. It's also supposed to be humidity controlled hasn't been working for some time, it
There we
does
go.
mean it's well sealed. Nothing will be sneaking through any
Happens
window
more
cracks.
times than I can count. Yeah.
Oh,
How are you doing? I'm good. How are you doing? I'm scared.
well, okay. Thanks. To be honest, I didn't expect you to take it seriously.
You say you lost your phone 2 weeks ago.
Thereabouts. When I went back to the basement.
In that time, I
Why
have
was I-
received several text messages from your phone saying you were ill.
I was
stuck.
getting like a heartbeat
The
sound.
last
That's
one said
against
you
the law.
thought it
You're gonna
might
have
be
to
a
go to
parasite.
jail.
I have to go to
My
jail.
colleague follow up
I was
on
getting
the
a
pulse.
heartbeat sound in
So
one
if
of my
this
ears,
does
and I don't like that.
apprentice, then I take it deadly serious. Hang on.
What?
Hello,
I just
Caden.
received another text message.
Tired from work, but I'm good. That's good. I know your work is
We have had our fun.
significantly more stressful than mine.
The archivist's
So,
fate arrives.
What does that mean?
It means I ask Elias to hire some extra
much
security.
into work. It's been a
I should
slow
probably
day.
walk
Sometimes slow days
I'll
are
have a
good.
look through the archives, because I believe we should have a statement from the apprentice herself somewhere. Recording ends.
The Magnus Archives is a podcast distributed by rustyquill.com and licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike International License. Today's episode was written and performed by Jonathan Sims.
But
It was
yeah.
produced by Alexander J. Newell, Mike LeBeau, and Murray Porter. And
I
directed by
am
Alexander J.
a
Newell.
spooky
To comment on episodes, make donations and view links, images, videos, and show notes. Visit rustyquill.com.
Not by that thing. That thing
Rate
doesn't
and
scare
review
me.
us
That
on
thing's just a
iTunes,
bitch.
visit us
But
on
like,
Facebook, tweet us on Twitter
it's the
at
stuff that's out there that
@rustyquill,
scares
or email
me.
us at mail@rustyquill.com. Thanks for listening.
That thing's just a squatter. Like, alright, we sell all of our fish. Shipyard, I guess. Repairing, yeah, repairing works that way too. Alright. Let's make our way around to the other side. Set
Rusty
the thing
Quill
off.
presents The Magnus Archives.
I'm gonna have to... Hello, Yong. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself and the
Episode
giant
23.
unspeakable horrors lurking under the
Shark.
surface of the water. Yeah, exactly. Time for crab pot. No. No crab pot. No like you. I mean, I know I'm going to have to, but like, no. I don't want it. I don't want it. Alright. I don't like the crab pots mainly because I don't like having to go back and get them.
Regarding a discovered tomb in his estate in the Black Forest. Original statement given as part of a letter to Jonah Magnus, March 31st, 1816.
Yes.
Audio recorded by Jonathan Sims, head archivist of Magnus.
Alright.
Statement begins.
What's up, fucker? I'm coming to raid your home. Hope you don't need it.
Must think me dreadful for not
Oh, wait, I can't do that here.
I recall that during your visit last year, you mentioned your fascination with the macabre and
Alright.
strange, which pressed upon me as to whether there were any such
Stop.
lore or legends.
A doll?
I myself, full of gang lights within
Is
the
this
Royal
too?
Fire,
Oh, I need the red
and
ones.
I
Okay.
feel that I now have something that belongs to me,
Wait,
far more than any of the fairy stories,
but,
old maids' tales that I told you before. Put quite simply, had a most
okay, so I have to, like, manage to upgrade that again, I guess.
and I pray to the Lord that I
Okay.
have no more.
Understood.
For I honestly believe I shall die, for fear, not from violence, were I forced to meet with them again. I'm sure you must think me the most dreadful bore speaking around with things, so but I feel that to understand all, I must begin my tale sometime before the apparition itself appeared, with my travels down the Verdant Road.
I have to
My
upgrade.
family has a small estate
I don't want
in the heart of
to
what
upgrade.
is called the Black Forest, near a small town by the name of Schramberg.
Well, so much for
This
that.
estate belongs to my brother, Henry.
Alright. Let
And
me
when he
see.
passed away, presented it to my nephew Wilhelm. He was barely in his 14th year when Henry died. His mother had passed
Fish
away.
market. We'll sell the couple of fish we got real quick.
This was especially keen as we have ourselves
What if I...
been unable to conceive a
So that would be
child.
this thing, I
So we
guess.
felt it our duty to teach Wilhelm
Bissell
that we
and
would have impressed upon
Huddle,
a son of
which
our
has
own
a single research
the
thing that I
vicinity of
would
this
need.
already danger. We felt it our duty to
Okay.
along
Alright.
the path of virtue. We needn't have worried
Okay.
ourselves overly. I have never met so sober and prudent a soul as seems to exist within young Wilhelm. Nonetheless,
I need to get
as
more
of this we have
research
remained close with him for a few
parts.
years, despite his
Oh. Okay.
when he took ill this last winter. Naturally, we
Is
made
this just a
arrangements
fishing
to
game?
travel
Yeah,
to
basically.
the Schwarzwald
Kind of.
and offer what comfort we could.
The Bissell pot will give you more
The
aberrants. I
general
don't want the
difficulties
Bissell
are
pot.
to be
I don't care about the crab pots. I don't want
But
them. I
Wilhelm's
don't want them.
condition booked no delays. At first, the worst we had to contend with coming from Bavaria was the lack of provisions.
Yeah, it's just a fishing game, but watch out.
We were told over and over again how rare guests were this time.
Okay.
Still, say what you will about the German Confederation, and I know you certainly have a lot of opinions on that, my friend.
Actually, we will put that back down, and we will go. We will put this on, and I'm gonna show you the but watch out part. We're just gonna beeline it. We're just gonna funkin' book it. Okay? We just saved. It's fine. We're just gonna. I'm gonna show you, Kiba. Nothing wrong with the water, just regular fishing game, right? Like. All right, Kiba. I hope you're prepared, cause I'm not. I'm gonna make my way over this way, cause at least this way I can be semi-close to land and not just completely out in the open water. It'll be fine. No, it won't, but like, I suffer. I suffer. We're gonna make our way all the way back to town.
I lost count of the number of times I swore I saw figures in the shadows.
It will most definitely not be.
Pitch glow of that
I'm sure.
At one point I even demanded this lady stop so I could make an examination of the area with a brace of pistols.
Alright, so
Of
far,
course I found
it's not nighttime. I'm surprisingly fast.
Schramberg. We were greeted by Wilhelm.
I have not had to book it yet.
The doctor had apparently
But watch out.
the roads from Schramberg some few days ago and had given what medicine he could. Since then the surface
Oh,
told us
it's
he had
about
been
to
steadily
start.
improving, but was still very weak. I will
Okay.
confess that this news to
It
feel
begins.
slightly unnecessary. But upon entering Wilhelm's chamber, the happiness evident upon his face when he saw Clara and myself put all such thoughts to rest.
Yay,
Wilhelm was in
aberrant.
recovery, but I had no
Alright.
intention of travelling back through that silent, icy stillness unless absolutely necessary. And Clara agreed. We made plans to winter there with Wilhelm. There was room enough for us, though our chamber was more modest than what we would have been
Oh,
accustomed
another aberrant.
I will admit that I didn't entirely relish the thought of staying in the Schwarzwald until the spring thaw. But of the courses of action we had at our disposal, it was the one I found to be the most agreeable. And so began what was to be a lengthy sojourn near Schwarzwald. And truly have I never wished more keenly that I had been able to bring my library with me. I had but a few books with me, and Wilhelm, despite his not inconsiderable intelligence, had even fewer.
Okay. Oh.
In the end, we played a lot of cribbage and listened to Clara playing many a tune on the pianoforte. My wife has never had a singing,
Oh, I made a mistake.
but her skills upon the flute were up.
I didn't know you were allowed to come in this close.
The surrounding woods during the early afternoon, but the cold was tolerable.
Beware. There it
I
is.
would make my way the 2 miles to neighboring drum. More often I would
Why am I hunting?
stroll into the trees for as long as my fancy held me, and then simply follow my own trail of footprints back to what was, for the moment, my home. It was on one
So
of those
yeah,
days, some months ago,
that's just a hint.
ancient graveyard. It must have been sunk
It hit
in
it.
the ground itself.
It hit it.
Before I could see the grave marker,
Really?
the nearest tip of worn and crumbled granite above the snow. Size of the place, as every few seconds, whichever way I walked, I would spot another small bud of memorial.
Alright, so I gotta do that again.
I dug some snow from in front of one of the headstones. It had a broken angel atop it, both wings snapped and fallen. But the inscription was far too worn to make out any of the words. I had all but made up my mind to leave.
Great.
A little over an hour before the light began to fail me. As I turned to do so, however, I spied something not far removed among the trees, far larger, more intriguing than the graves I had found thus far. It stood about...
Alright, let's try that again.
And the stone was far better quality than what I had seen so far. Small,
Okay, there's a boat.
The door, once a sturdy iron grate, had long since rusted off its
No,
hinges,
they're gone.
leaving only a gaping black aperture. It seemed to lead deeper than the dimensions of the mausoleum would allow. Over the top, barely readable, but still most definitely there, was the name Johann von Württemberg.
Apparently they're
I
not
was
coming.
fascinated. I knew my local history well enough, and certainly was not aware of any noble of the Württemberg line named Johann. I was sure he had never been a count or a prince. More than that, there had never been, as far as I could recall, any town or settlement near this spot
There we go.
supported a cemetery of such size. So who was Johann von Württemberg? And why had he built a mausoleum here, in the middle of the Schwarzwald?
Watch it, watch it. Oh man. Boats don't have that. Oh man. That's a fish.
I turned away and followed my path back as quickly as I dared. While I would normally be
Toot toot.
satisfied forging a new path for today,
And those motherfuckers will just sneak up on you too.
and I found myself marking trees with my pocket knife.
I don't like them.
The following day that much easier. I asked Wilhelm that evening over dinner whether he had ever heard of Johann von Württemberg, or whether there was a mausoleum a few miles north from his home. He told me no to both.
Anyway.
He rarely spent time in the forest around, save for hunting, and the hunting was usually poor in the north, as the trees were too close together to easily navigate with a horse. And he had never heard
Anyway.
of Johann. I made some inquiries as to where I
Alright,
could look
so
further
we
in
will...
the area, but there was no library.
Yep, just fishing and
inside
nothing
the near
else.
distance of Schramberg.
Oh, so there's just boatfish. Yep, just a boatfish
So I let them
and nothing else.
Nothing else of note occurred that night, and so, making my apologies the next morning, I headed out early towards the old cemetery. I made no secret of my destination, and even offered the opportunity to accompany me to both Wilhelm and Carla, but neither saw the trip as worth the cold hours it would take to reach. So it was alone that I once again made my way to that forgotten place.
Just a boatfish and nothing. There are definitely not region-specific horrors to have to deal with.
The mausoleum looked exactly as I had left it. Its door still yawning, and the sunlight seemed to make very little
Motherfucking
distance over
God.
the threshold before darkness once again swallowed.
Did we get another bot?
I had foreseen this and packed a lantern for
Oh, the
purpose
oil
of
rig.
drawing.
Yeah, I haven't.
I was about to light it when I noticed a figure watching me from the tree line. Perhaps this place was not so forgotten after all. I had heard tales of brigands using places
I have not
such as
gone
the
to the rig
assassinations, and was suddenly glad I had
because
ordered
I
a shot.
have not.
I approached
I have simply not.
Didn't
Where's my
flee.
cursor? God.
As I got closer, I
Here we
saw
go.
him in more detail. He was short and squat, wearing an old-fashioned black frock coat and knee breeches, though his head was shadowed by a wide-brimmed black hat. By his costume, I assumed him to be an old man, perhaps a groundskeeper of this place, or simply a recluse that lived nearby.
Metal scrap.
The voice that answered held no quiver of age within it. He asked, in low, peasant German, whether I was planning to explore the city. I said I was, asked if he was the keeper of the place. He laughed at that, with a sharp, guttural exclamation that surprised me. He told me that the crypt I thought was a dangerous place. I asked him what I had to fear from the dead, and he stared at me. I could not see his eyes beneath the brim of his hat, but I could still feel his gaze upon me. He laughed again and told me, "No, sir, you have nothing
The
to
horror
fear."
aside, this seems like a fairly chill game. Yeah, no, it definitely
At
is.
these words, I began to back away.
And that's the thing, like, if you're not thalassophobic, this is just a chill game with the fun little side thing of occasionally having to deal with things trying to hunt down your boat. I, however, am extremely thalassophobic. And this...
Considered turning back another day. But something within me balked at having all my work and preparation be for naught because of a single farmer who couldn't mind his business. I lit my lantern and...
I do enjoy fishing and the occasional
We're going to be
monster,
staying in the
yeah.
archives. At least have the decency to put some trousers on.
Oh God, sorry. Sorry, I didn't think you were in until later. Not even 7.
I've been coming in early in the hopes of leaving this place before dark.
It's been a week, and we've seen nothing. Really think she's still out there?
I have no idea. But I don't intend to take any chances.
Oh,
Abyssal?
I suppose not.
Now, if you'll excuse me,
I do.
statement continues.
Oh, Oceanic, I can't.
At first I was confused. Inside appeared to be empty. No monuments or coffins stood inside, and no plaques or sigils adorned the
Tis
wall.
dark.
Just a single slab of marble stood in the center, like an altar. At first I thought that perhaps that was where the coffin should have sat, and someone had simply taken it. But as I walked around, I saw what it was concealing. Behind the sharp-angled block was a staircase.
I can stand
Descending
Deepwater
deep
either.
into
It's,
some
yeah,
unknown
it's...
subterranean vault.
It's such a weird thing to try to explain because it's not just like, oh, I'm afraid of water, because, like, I'm not. I love water.
But the plain fact
It's like,
is that I descended those stairs
it's,
with hardly a qualm.
like you said, deep water, knowing that there are things in there, and not being able to see
So
them.
I hoisted my lantern, and I descended the stairs. They were old, but that there was no
Like,
doubt. They were not worn.
like, if I could at least see all of the shit, it'd be fine. Like, I could deal with it. But I can't see nothing. Really deep water in the unknown. Exactly, exactly. I don't like swimming in deep water, even if I know that the largest fish is there is the size of my forearm. Yeah, no, like, I do not do well. Murky oceans definitely don't help with that. Exactly! Like, yeah. Yeah. I do not do well not being able to see shit. Like,
the name Johann von Württemberg was carved here too, though preserved in much clearer detail without the elements to wear it away. As I gazed at it, I noticed that the wall of the room did not appear to be stone, as the passage or the mausoleum appeared. I walked cautiously closer.
I need to find somewhere that I can potentially fish up some research stuff. I think I'm going to make my way back over towards the cliffs. One, because I need explosives. And two, I haven't finished dealing with that fucking fish yet. And buddy,
to a
Does
single
it have a
man
big storm coming?
Predictable as this may have been, I still felt the most acute pang of loss. To see such a volume of knowledge.
H is for
He needs some milk. Exactly.
The actual shells were formed of the same marble as the two blocks, and seemed to have fared better. As I looked at them, I noticed a small engraving carved at regular intervals along the edge of each one.
I'm coming for you, motherfucker. Oh wait, hold on. Actually, I'm grabbing this real quick. Oh wait, I can't because I don't have the ocean line attached right now because I needed to uninstall it for the net, which is good passive fishing, I guess, but like, man. Man. The fish after you're done. Exactly. Come for some more packed explosives? You fucking know it. Yeah, baby! Give me your whole fucking stock! I'm gonna kill him! Anyway.
But appeared to be in Arabic.
Alright.
It seemed to be an illuminated manuscript of sorts, produced by hand.
So this fish is a bitch.
For the life of me have told you what it concerned. I took the book and the coin.
Use explosives.
Hastily left the box.
Nice.
The lingering fear making me feel
Now I leave because it's likely on its way here now.
I drew my
Yep.
pistol as I left the mausoleum, just in case the strange short man from earlier was waiting to accost me.
Where are you, buddy? I know you're coming.
Clear daylight. I hurried back, though I still had many hours before dusk. As I went, I noticed that the snow on the trees was beginning to thaw.
You can't convince me that you did not get your attention caught by that.
Wilhelm was fully recovered.
The other day, we really like the new horns on this model. Thank you.
All traces of my earlier fear.
All the bombs. Oh yeah, gonna be doing a lot of switching.
I retired afterwards to smoke.
Wait, what do you mean? A lot of switching? What do you mean?
The book, so beautiful.
I'm confused.
Stubbornly refused to offer up any clues to its contents.
All the bombs, yes, all the bombs. I need all of the bombs. I'm blowing so much shit up. Oh, you mean switching the net and the fishing line? Gotcha. Right.
On one side, it had an engraved profile.
Me just like lime. Yeah. Oh, I got a flayed mackerel. Okay. All right.
And at the bottom was the number.
This feels like a trap, so I'm not falling for that. Instead, what I'm gonna do is my typical, I'm gonna bait him this way, and then I'm gonna go over here.
They read, through a distiller. I was about to retire to bed when one of the servants, Hilda, or was it Helga, I forget, asked me for a moment of my time.
No! You weren't supposed to go that way!
The old graveyard out of the forest.
You're a dick!
I told her yes, I had. She paled ever so slightly. She told me that she never went near the place, but no one in the town did. You see, Jonah, apparently there was an old man traveler by the name of Tobias Corley.
Ouch.
He had lived
Ouch.
told tales when he was a child. He and his friends played a game they called Johan's
Whoops.
It was a game of bravery, where you had to
Ping pong, yeah, exactly.
Tobias would never say who or what he was seen in the park. He always ignored the question. Well, apparently the parents of these children found out about
Whoops.
this. One, the mother of Tobias's friends Hans Winkel, decided.
Well, the fun part there is knowing that, like, it didn't turn back around and come after me. It just kind of kept going the way it was going. So, that's good to know.
None of the children saw what happened, but they all heard the scream. They fled back to town, and when they told of what had happened, the town priest, whose name Tobias simply nodded.
We'll sleep through the night.
6 strong, though deeply
I want... Okay, so...
headed out towards the cemetery.
I
None of that
assume
party ever spoke of what they
in
saw
order
or
to
found.
get the ability to banish the thing, I'm gonna have to, like...
Out of their small farm. No one played Johann's
I'm gonna have to, like, do the quest for here where I have to, like, fish up the eel.
The only other thing Tobias remembered
Because otherwise I don't...
a great uncle refer to
Yeah.
Johann von Württemberg
Like...
as Ulrich Sparse.
Or is that an ability that I
Maybe
get
David
from,
was correct. Maybe you're referring to Ulrich the First or Ulrich the Second, but either way, that place's history must stretch back almost.
Yes, this is an actual question. You may answer, Brandy.
But now I feel I have talked around it long enough. I could fill a dozen more pages with preamble and research, yet none of that is why I have written to you as I have. No. I am writing to you to describe what I saw the last night I stayed at Wilhelm's.
Because
The events that led to
I
my
don't...
Carla leaving a week earlier
I
than
want to deal with
planned.
it. Center of
It was 3
Octopus
days
Crater.
after I had heard Tobias's story, it happened. I had packed the
That
coin
applies here as
and
well?
away in a fit of superstition and had decided to take a short stroll as the sun was setting. It was beautiful. The crimsons of the darkening sky danced upon what snow was left, staining it deepest
Like-
gray. I walked around the house, smoking my pipe, until I came upon the tracks I had left when heading towards the old graveyard. As the snow melted, it had formed my footprints.
Will I be, like,
packed
bringing
dirt
that
and
with
ice.
me then?
It almost seems to glow in the waning daylight. I gazed upon it.
From the way it seemed, like, that was a pretty stationary object.
2 trips to the mausoleum that winter. Sure enough, there were 2 stark sets of footprints heading north. But coming back towards the house,
Okay.
there were 3 sets of footprints. I felt the presence behind me.
Oh.
Turned around.
Oh. Oh, okay.
This wide-brimmed hat
Also, I want to try something. I want to try something. I've got this. I want to try this.
bold. His eyes,
Oh, it just fucking killed...
they were just empty sockets, but they stared at me.
I may have overreacted.
They saw me. Believe or dismiss anything else in my letter as you wish, Jonah, but I swear to you that I stood face to face with a man with no eyes, and he saw me. I backed away too quickly and slipped, falling hard upon the ground. The second he was above me, he
Right.
smiled.
Okay, I'm just...
He said something, but my mind was aflame with panic, and I didn't hear what it was.
Just gonna lower that
Reaching towards me
down.
slowly, insolently,
Turn my light back
as though he
on.
sought to savor this
I'm just gonna
moment
go.
would not be rushed. And quite without warning, he stopped.
Okay, I need to be able to...
Snapped up to stare.
Okay, I need a research material, which
And
means
poised as though in indecision.
I need to fish one up from somewhere.
And then
Well, it does tear you into pieces and reform you, as shown by your insanity increasing. Yeah, it looks like it fucking maxed out. Or is just short of maxing out. Like, what the hell happened? Apparently, to teleport, it fucking kills you.
I told Carl
But it also doesn't.
it's possible.
But, like, it kind of just fucking kills you.
I still haven't told her why. How do you tell your wife something like that has happened to you? We took the first coach the following morning and haven't stopped. I didn't even realize the coin was missing until I checked my luggage later. Whether to a light-fingered servant or just my own carelessness, it is gone, so I must apologize that I will not be able to share that particular piece of history with you. I must also apologize for the handwriting. I have been committing this to...
I mean, it doesn't actually kill you, like...
Still,
Sorry,
I look forward to
customers.
showing you
The
book
item to give you the
required
mysterious...
and the revelations you will no doubt
The
glean
item
from
to
it.
give to the mysterious stranger
Yours
can
in
be
trust.
dredged in Stellar Bay Octopus
Out.
Crater. Yeah.
Statement ends.
Yeah, I figured as much.
Always a treat to find a piece of history tucked into the wrong section of the archive. Still, I can't say I know much about Jonah Magnus or the origins of the Institute, so this is a rather pleasing discovery in some ways. Obviously,
I'm
there
just-
isn't much follow-up to be done here, but to slake my own interest, I have done a little bit of digging myself.
At this
Which I
point,
did
I
here.
need...
I've only found the reference to any Johann von Württemberg in any of the German history reference
what's it called?
At the faith.
I need
Jan Moira's Cradle of
research
Germany,
materials so
Württemberg
that I can
century,
upgrade
mentions rumors
that
of
hook
First, Count of Württemberg,
so that I
the second son
can
out of wedlock in 1255. No name is listed, but
so I can
certain
actually
enemies of the
get
Count
the
will spread
stuff
rumors that
for
his
the quest.
exiled son was keeping the company of witches. 1279 was also the
Tis
year
but a
that Ulrich
flesh
I
wound, I
was
guess.
assassinated.
Yeah,
Ulrich
that's what it
II
seems like.
died. This may simply have been coincidence.
Ascend!
Succeeded by his half-brother, Eberhard I. Something else I stumbled across, quite by accident during my research, was in Grim Tales, H.T. Moncrief's exploration of unexplained and macabre deaths in early 19th century Europe. It mentions a death that took place in Schramberg in 1816. The man, one Rudolf Ziegler, was found dead at his home on the outskirts of town. What is interesting is that it says he worked in service on an estate nearby. Shortly after his death, one Wilhelm von Klosen was investigated for the crime, as it was discovered the dead man had been stealing jewelry from the estate. It was eventually dropped, however, after 4 doctors attested that the ferocity of the wounds inflicted on Herr Ziegler were, and I quote, beyond the capacity of human violence. It was ruled an animal attack. I did try to find out what happened to Ulbrecht von Klosen and his book, but I can find no mention of him in
Now,
any volume of history,
that's not-
nor anywhere online.
Don't
Perhaps
forget
I might
there's
find
fun
out
stuff
more
to
if I
bomb
spent
at Stellar
months
Basin as
sifting
well.
through the historical statements of the archive
Yeah,
of
that's
back
true.
rooms, but I simply don't have time to indulge my own curiosity like that.
I've also got stuff to
I
bomb
have
here.
located a genealogy for Wilhelm von Klosen,
But I'm not doing that at night because fucking boatfish.
and the family remained located in and around Schramberg for almost another century. For one death,
Winds,
emigrated
leave me
in
alone.
1908.
I don't know what you keep trying to tell me, but it's very irritating. I just leave me alone.
Michael Key in 1920. In 1924, they had one daughter, whose name
Fishmonger.
was Mary Key.
Alright. Bing, bing,
This may be
bing.
simple coincidence,
Bong,
but
bing.
it concerns me. End recording.
Boop. Actually, we'll put this here. Alright. And then we go dry dock. And then we go and we toss a couple things
The
in
Magnus
here. Nope,
Archives
not
is a
that.
podcast
that would
distributed by
be
rustyquill.com
useful.
and licensed under a Creative
Right
Commons
there.
Attribution Non-Commercial Share
Yeah,
Alike
right there.
International License.
Alright. Don't know what the fuck this is,
Today's
but I
episode was written and
know.
performed by Jonathan Sims. It was produced by Alexander J. Newell, Mike LeBeau,
Alright.
and Murray Porter.
I
And
need
directed by Alexander J.
so
Newell.
much stuff.
To comment on
Okay.
episodes, make donations and view links, images, videos, and show notes. Visit
Fucking
rustyquill.com. Rate and review us on iTunes. Visit us on Facebook. Tweet us on Twitter at
Yeah,
@rustyquill.
fucking bowfish,
or
man.
email us
I hate 'em.
at mail@rustyquill.
They make it very irritating to try to do anything at night. Thick. Thick. I'm really bad at that one. I saw an aberration, sorry. And I talked to the dock worker. Oh, he's still gurgling. I'm just gonna leave.
Rusty
That-
Quill presents the
Alright.
Magnus Archive.
Storage. I'm gonna give him this, and some glasses, and these earrings. There we go.
Episode 24.
Yeah,
Strange
That's-
Music.
that's fine. That's fine. Boop. Yeah, there we go. Actually, we will do... No, yeah, we'll do that. Okay. Anyway. Hydrated in his lane, concentrating. Yeah, he's
Regarding an antique Goliath
he's got goop brain, all right. That boy
Original
is...
statement given January 17th,
Yep.
2005.
Talking about me having no brain cells, man.
Head archivist of the Magnus Institute.
That boy's oozing out his ears.
Let me be clear. I'm not scared of clowns. I don't find them funny either, just a bit baffling, really.
Oh, I can't
Never
blow up
understood
this side. I have to blow
why
up the other one.
men
Bonk!
makeup and wigs.
God damn it! The game is like, this is what you get for bitching. You get bonked. Stop bitching.
I suppose
I would like multiples, please. Please, multiples. No, just one. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Okay. What is this? Oh, this is eels. Yeah, that's the eels. Okay. Anyway, back to the abyss we go. Oh wait. I might be able to fish up a research thingy here, which would be nice. I know it's a little late. Fuck. That's not at all what I needed. Okay. I know it's a little late. But I'm out of research. I need research things so that I can upgrade the hook. It's so late. Oh man. Oh, it's so late. Fuck. Oh, it's so late. I don't want to deal with this right now. Fuck!
Going through my grandpa's old papers and possessions was harder than it was only reading some of his old letters that I discovered his birth name was Nicholas. He'd always just thought
I don't like this. Alright, I need to get my little zoom ready, and I flee. Fuck. It's okay. It got the bad one. It's okay. Got the bad one. No, fuck you. What is growling at me? My engine is not growling at me. I know better. Fishmonger. Selfish. Shipwright. Fix ship. Thank you. You're wonderful, ma'am. I hope you have a good life. Anyway. Yay! Toot toots.
When I had first remembered about the lot, I'd been annoyed. I thought there'd be so much more stuff up there, days more sorting to go through.
Wind! I don't want to follow you in the middle of the night. I don't want to follow you. That feels like a really bad idea. What the fuck? No, 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 no. So that's what's gotten you to use the horn. Well, yeah. I also want to try something else out, but I don't know if the game has that programmed in. But I wanna try something. So
Carved onto the cover of the keyboard. It read, "Be still, for there is strange music." I went to the steamer shop next.
but I need another boat to test it out.
A cloud of dust I coughed a few times before I got the heavy lid up.
You.
They looked old, with ragged.
Oh, no response. Okay.
The size of round heads and large, painted
Damn.
eyes stared up in their shadowy cover. The hair on
I wonder if it was either too complicated or if it was like too far out of the way or something.
the heads had similar mouths, wooden blocks that would have opened and closed to
Hmm.
speech.
I feel not safe here. And yet.
Almost all of them had their jaws
Horn!
roughly torn off.
Oh, fuck! Alright. Understood. Bye-bye now. Have a good life.
One of them still had its jaw left.
Oh, it's still coming for me. No, fuck you. I don't want your cookies. Does not want. Nope.
The ruff just below the head.
Hmm.
It had no woolen hair left, but instead there was a tall, pointed
Get rid of that.
on top.
Okay.
Its face was painted
Alright, so I've
all
got
white
this thing. I need to upgrade it.
shut. Black
Need to
lines
need to upgrade.
The only
To
colour
upgrade.
was a splash
So
of
that I can
red across the hinged jaw.
I
Like I
must
said,
think.
I'm not scared of clowns and I'm not scared of dolls. The thing was ugly though. I was kind of relieved, actually, to have found some of my grandpa's old things that I would have no problem throwing away.
Pardon?
Or maybe selling. They were definitely antiques, so they might
Well,
be
something
worth
clearly saw me, and I don't like that.
it. In any case, I put the
Something.
nasty looking clown doll back in the box and closed the
Okay.
I definitely closed the door.
I gotta go.
I went back over to the client.
Sasha, you're back early. I thought you were trying to get hold of those police reports for the Harold Silvana case.
Tried and succeeded.
Okay.
They were actually quite helpful.
Oh, well, good work.
So, do we know if it's pronounced Calliope or Calliope?
I have also heard it said as Callias,
Seriously? By who?
Americans.
Ah.
As far as I can tell, there isn't a correct pronunciation, but they were originally named after the Greek muse Calliope.
Are people going to understand where it's from?
I don't like how deep
If
this
they are working for
is.
the Magnus Institute,
Wee
then I
woo.
would hope so.
Wee woo.
I said it more than
I don't like how deep this is, and I'm gonna keep on going.
I went back over to Calliope.
Oh, look, it's a
There was
fish.
no lock on it.
I still really don't like how deep this is, but this is a fish, and I'm in the middle of the day.
I opened
Boop, boop, boop. It's. Oh, I know this fish. It's kind of neat.
the time I
Beep,
know how
beep,
a client
beep,
worked. I just thought it was like a weird
boop,
tiny piano.
boop,
I didn't know that there needed to be a blower work
Stop,
to play.
stop,
Even if I had, I wouldn't
stop.
know where to find one or how
Boop.
to use it.
bum,
By right,
bum, bum,
I snapped in front of it and pressed the first key down.
bum,
Nothing
bum,
should have happened.
bum.
Before
Hooray.
tall rows of brass whistles.
His peepers are peeled. Yeah. Barrel hay. Another one of my favorite aberrants. I'm assuming one of the aberrants of that is just, it just has one massive eye.
Remember once,
Alright, Grumpy Boy is still here being grumpy.
a mile away,
So,
little whistle sounded.
we...
Play a tune.
Alright, I've already gotten one of those. I've already gotten, that's the same fucking thing. Okay.
There was one tune
So,
Always insisted he paid him.
Grumpy Boy is grumpy,
He never told me its name, if he even had one. I always
and
faster, faster, by way of a description. A cheery, upbeat circus melody that started out almost like
okay.
slowly, gathered in tempo, getting faster and faster.
So I cannot fish directly in the middle because I don't have a deep enough like lure for that.
The wailing whistles were almost deafening.
So instead,
So I'd probably be hearing maybe
we're gonna set this off because I feel like it.
tuned on.
Yes.
More frantic. Final closure for the loss of my grab hole just out of reach. If I got faster, if I
Fuck
played
you.
with enough speed, I could catch it.
I cannot dredge that.
I was never as good.
Nope, cannot fish that. Cannot fish that. I can dredge this. It's a doubloon! 4 doubloons! That's what I need. Hmm.
Slightly wider than before. I shut the trunk and climbed down.
Oh, aberrant. Aberrant! Come here. I need to steal you.
It was only when Josh had turned around.
No, you're not an aberrant. You're just an octopus.
I told him I had
Oh, it's the Medusa again.
he was suitably impressed by the life.
It's okay.
Freaked out that as a result.
I like that it doesn't have eyes, but the extra mouths are kind of are kind of taking me out of it. The lack of eyes kind of made it a little freakier, but then I realized that it has like mouths at the ends of its tentacles, and I was like, oh, now it just looks like cartoony.
Began to play my grandpa's old circus. Again, I began to be husky, play faster and faster, began to shriek. I felt a hand touch mine firm, abruptly stopped the music. Josh stood there, shaking, face death and pain. On impulse, I looked over to the chest of dogs, but the lid was firmly shut. I asked Dylan what was wrong. He said he didn't
4
know.
doubloons. Yeah. I'm gonna have to go grab one of the cats before too long and appreciate their doubloons.
The next week,
Fish market. I feel like I don't remember if she was asking for one of these, but I'm gonna keep one just in case. I know she didn't want one of these. I've already gotten those. Sell you the doubloon. Can I see it? I should be able to actually track what she wants, right? Catch rare fish. Oh no, that's a different thing. Collect all samples. Anglerfish, loose straw. Okay, so yeah, none of these. Okay. Ugh. Fatty Catty. I don't know, man. She's been in a mood lately, and I don't feel like dealing with her. Alright. Alright. So I'm looking at research. I have no research parts. Correct. I I need this. Am I correct? Am I wrong? Am I missing something? I feel stupid. Okay. So I need this, but I don't have a research thing.
Now, I brought a copy of the police report I got. You have to believe me that I did not lay down my life. I had nothing to do with what happened to Josh. I came home from the cinema about a week later to find my laptop. My house.
Because she doesn't have that.
It's all in the report on the burglary.
Oh!
Front door lock was shattered. Swung again.
Fuck!
At first I ran into my living room, bedroom. Nothing had been taken. The electronics, my jewelry, untouched. Felt my stomach drop and ran towards the lock.
There's still soup! Where are you right now? That's soup!
They questioned my neighbors.
My brain is soup.
None of them had seen anything except something parlor next door. We said
I'm also taking this too, as to make myself feel better. Actually, I can just put that straight into this.
God knows I hated him enough back then, but he could never have pulled anything like that.
Mamma mia, here I go again. Why, how can I say? Damn. Fuck. Anyway. Shipyard. Okay, I'm gonna need one of these. Gonna need me one of them little blonde bitches. Install. And then we're gonna put that back in. Alright. God. I'm stupid. Anyway.
Natural reservations about a tale of murderous clown dolls. There are a few things.
Anyway. Methinks that's probably a good enough sign. I need to go to bed. And it is also after 8. It's about a quarter after 8, actually. So let's see. Who can we go say hi to? Whomstead of the fucketh is live right now? Let's see. Who we got? Oh, Gaby! Gaby's live.
When discussing this case, Tim said it reminded him of some articles.
We're gonna go say hi to Gaby. You were very brave. I was not. I was a wimp. Let me see.
I found a reproduction of an old black and white photograph.
Let me see. What will our message be? Gaby. Void dog. Great. Because Gaby is also. So, those of you who are not aware, Gaby. First off, Gaby. Second off, shape-shifting. Third, void, fourth, dog. So, yeah. And funniest part about all of this, not even just all of that, right? They are the inverse of the same color palette. So, we're gonna go say hi to Gabe. Gaby's great. So we're gonna go say hi to Gaby. So that's our raid message. Oh, bye Jackal, we're leaving. We're leaving. It was I mean it's a good time. But man. Thalassophobia. But yeah. I'm gonna go say hi to Gaby. And as a there we go. Let me scroll down. Let me see. Thank you to Alondite for the 16-month resub. And let me see. And that was the only event we had today. Yay! We had an event. But yeah. Hope everybody has a good one. Thank you for coming out, for hanging out, for being here. And always, do remember. Wah wah wah. Wah 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 wah. Wah wah.